That's it from the naughty alarm clock for this morning. Greg Hughes is up next with the 9 till noon show, and he's got his checkbook out because he's given away the first of our cash prizes, €2,500 up for grabs this morning. One lucky winner will take it away.
Yeah, indeed, not too bad, Roy. See you Monday. Okay, it is just after 9. Time for news update, and it's Good Morning, Emma Ryan.
Police are appealing for information and witnesses following a report of theft and assault at a shop in Church Meadow area of Derry last night. 4 males arrived at the shop, caused a disturbance and stole a number of items. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
Police received a report that 4 males arrived at the premises in a silver vehicle entering the shop after 9 p.m. They caused a disturbance in the store and had stolen a number of items. While leaving the shop, one of the males was confronted by a staff member and he punched her on the side of the face. She required hospital treatment for her injuries. Police inquiries into this incident are ongoing and the males are described as being aged in their mid-20s with one possibly in his 40s. The male who carried out the assault has blonde hair and was wearing a navy zipped top, shorts and socks with sandals. This was a despicable attack and a staff member was left incredibly shaken by what was obviously a terrifying experience for her. Police are appealing to anyone who was in the area at the time and has any information or who saw 4 males matching these descriptions to call detectives on 101.
Donegal town-based US medtech giant Abbott Laboratories has announced additional jobs for Donegal. Abbott will invest in new equipment for its Donegal diabetes care site and is set to construct a new greenfield manufacturing facility in Kilkenny, representing a combined investment of €440 million and creates 1,000 jobs between the two sites. The new jobs will be in areas of engineering, quality control, medical device manufacturing and other science-based areas. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar has welcomed the job announcement.
Crucially, I wanted to make sure that we have jobs and investment in all parts of the country, not just in the big cities. So this is really positive from the point of view of balanced regional development. New jobs, well-paid jobs being created in Kilkenny in the southeast, in Donegal in the northwest.
Belfast is out of the running for hosting the Eurovision next year. The city failed to make the shortlist of 7 cities being considered to host the event. It was previously suggested by Alderman Derry Cussey that Derry City and Strabane District Council should submit a bid to hold the Eurovision in the area. However, that bid did not proceed. Song contest organisers decided the tradition to hold it in the winning nation couldn't happen this year because of Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. And to weather now, very warm, dry and sunny today with highs of 26 to 28 degrees with some light winds. That's all from News from Now. We'll be back with an update again at 10 o'clock. But until then, good morning.
This summer, Disney Plus brings you unbelievable entertainment for an unbelievable price. Journey through the Star Wars galaxy in the new original series, Andor.
That's what a reckoning sounds like.
Witness Marvel Studios' latest hero in the original series, She-Hulk.
I'm Jennifer Walters. I'm a lawyer who happens to be a Hulk.
And stream the newest entry in the Predator franchise, Prey.
There's something out there.
Disney Plus. All these plus more streaming this summer for only $8.99 a month. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Student loans now available and free banking for students from your local and friendly credit union. Call 91022126 or email loans@letterkennycu.ie. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Okay, good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 this Friday, the 12th of August, 2022. You're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till noon show. It's the last one of the week. I do hope you are well. And you'll be with us for the next 3 hours in this programme. And of course, throughout the day here on your number one local radio station, Highland Radio. We've a great panel lined up who I'll introduce to you very shortly. But it's also important that you have your say throughout the course of the next hour. 086 60 25,000 is your WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Emails at highlandradio.com or go and watch the show on our website highlandradio.com, on YouTube Highland Radio Ireland, or across our Facebook pages. Okay. Let's say good morning now to our guests. We'll say good morning first to Edward Grant, the President of the Students' Union at ATU Letterkenny. Good morning to you, Edward. Good to have you on the show again.
Morning, Greg.
We also say good
Thanks
morning
for having me on.
No, it's our pleasure. We also say good morning to Professor Pat O'Connor, Professor of Sociology and Social Policy at Limerick University. How are you keeping, Pat? Great to see you again.
Good morning, Greg.
And our last guest today is Donegal Fianna Fáil County Councillor, Councillor Rena Donaghy. How are you, Rena?
I'm fine, thank you, Greg.
Okay, good to have you on board. Right. A deepening housing crisis has seen accommodation availability for students in Letterkenny drop by 63%. This, of course, at a time when the Atlantic Technological University Donegal campus is anticipating record numbers. An accommodation list will be released next week ahead of the new college term. The list shows only 123 beds, a figure that is down from 331 last year. This has led to conversations about all manners of ways of providing accommodation, including mobile homes. I heard some reference made to that. I suppose we'll go first to the rep with us from the Students' Union. Has anything changed as the weeks worn on to see an improving situation, I wonder, Edward?
It's slightly improved since coming on the radio yesterday, I think it was, Greg. We've had a couple of calls in, but again, it's nowhere near as much as we need. We're nearly up at 130.
And what are the solutions being looked at? Your connection's not fantastic. I hope you can hear me okay. What are the realistic solutions being looked at now?
So as of this morning, ourselves, the union, have submitted to our national body, USA, our request for the interim pre-budget submission. Included in this here is the idea of a capital grant investment for TUs to be able to draw down funds to either build new property or, in the more hopeful scenario, to be able to buy urbanised property and renovate them, retrofit them for student use. This is going to be a lot faster than trying to build something from the ground up because you already have an existing structure, and it's also going to kind of interject more student life into town centres. It, of course, is going to try and rejuvenate and kind of hopefully keep the main streets alive.
Yeah, and that's it sounds like a brilliant medium-term, maybe long-term plan. But in terms of what's going to happen next month, we have hundreds of people effectively or potentially without accommodation. What are we going to do, do you think? I know it's not down to you, but you're the person perhaps with the best insight on this call.
Yeah, so obviously at the union, we've been trying to reach out to everyone that might have accommodation, and we are trying to reach out to the likes of local caravan parks, places that maybe historically would have been used for holiday homes, such as beach houses and that sort of stuff, because any room anywhere for a student to lie their head down with a roof is of use to a student summer. Last year we had students staying out as far as Donegal Airport, and that was used by at least 2 students over last year. Mm-hmm. It's really, really desperate situation, and without kind of immediate access to those kind of temporary measures, I don't see it improving much between now and then. I see the possibility of a lot of dropouts happening this year. And I know for a fact that a lot of people have put off applying to what the preferred CEO places would have been due to more local courses, which again is a great help, but it isn't something we should be expecting of students.
Yeah. All right. Professor Pat O'Connor, I mean, obviously, it's a dire situation. You can imagine the stress in amongst individuals and families with such a short lead in now till college is starting. I mean, they've been talking about Letterkenny becoming a university for years now, donkey's years, I don't know how long, and yet here we are. It's got its status. There's more demand for places. Obviously, there are external factors, but it seems not much planning has been put in to cater for the inevitable.
I mean, it is a dreadful situation and very disquieting for students and parents. I think you usefully yourself made a distinction between what can be done immediately and what needs to be done medium to long term. And I think immediately there needs to be a big publicity campaign on the rent a room. Edward has also suggested some really useful, interesting ideas like the caravans and summer accommodation. But I think the rent a room is really an immediate solution, and partly people dropped off because of COVID. They just were too nervous. And in a way now, people's anxiety about COVID has, for right or wrong, it has abated. Of course, COVID is still there and we still have a problem, but people's anxiety about it has gone down. And so in that context, a major drive to rent a room, €14,000 tax-free, I think would be really helpful.
Well, you see, that's very interesting you should say that, because I wasn't sure about that. And it was only in a conversation with Edward earlier in the week that I was fully aware of that. I mean, why aren't we... I mean, it's very useful to do the radio interviews and the newspaper interviews, but why aren't we actively running adverts and campaigns to say, do you know you can make €14,000 tax-free by renting a room out to students? Oh, and by the way, in case you're worried about such and such, well, this is in place. If you have any issues, well, this is who you contact. We've got that kind of system in place. You know, actively... and this is no reflection on Edward at all, because I think he's done his bit, but literally actively campaign to say, you know, this is a real opportunity for you here.
Exactly. Well, I'm afraid I don't represent the government, so asking me why it isn't being done is not really you know, I can't answer for them, but it is an obvious, immediate thing. In terms of more long-term, medium-term to long-term, I did notice that there was a report during the week which said that we had basically a low level of vacant properties, but they said that vacant property number did not include derelict homes. Now, in a way, you know, derelict homes are an eyesore. You need only walk around any town or city and you see loads of them, right? They're not being counted in the vacant property, but they are potentially, as Edward has mentioned, they're a potential site of accommodation. They could be refurbed, and basically, like, this might not be, you know, top quality accommodation, but to be honest, many students can't afford top quality.
The only thing is though, and I mean with this absolute respect, of course, Pat, and to Edward, the solution so far may be looking towards, you know, caravan parks as an example, holiday homes, and even doing up derelict buildings. Those are the targets at the moment for housing Ukrainian refugees. Those are almost literally the plans that are being employed because we have hotels all over the country and in Donegal and other accommodation, student accommodation, maybe some not so much of that here, that Ukrainians are being moved out of in the next couple of weeks, and all of your solutions are being earmarked to house those people.
Well, I mean, in a way, I do think derelict properties haven't really been activated by local authorities or by anybody else, partly because it's felt that they couldn't bring them to a standard that would be acceptable quickly enough. And in a way, like, okay, it's wonderful if your parents can afford. For example, I looked up the cost of student accommodation in Dublin and UCD, and it's for 2 semesters, it's just under 7,000 to just under 11,000 for 2 semesters. Now, a lot of families can't afford that, but they could afford more hostel type accommodation, which is often what young people use going on holidays or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Where you have more, of course it's not ideal, but you have a lower, more bunk bed type arrangements.
Well, but before I bring Rena in, I mean, would that be agreeable to a lot of students? I mean, it's not necessarily the experience or the life they're looking to sign up to, Edward. It would fix the issue, and it's a decent suggestion from the professor, of course. But in reality, would people take up that type of accommodation if it were provided? I.e., say, for instance, a large hall or something along those lines was converted with bunk beds and what have you.
Students would, Greg, to be perfectly honest. I've heard reports from around the country of, obviously this is not what we'd be looking towards, but students sharing, I think there was 8 in what would have been traditionally a single room. They are crammed in everywhere we can get them around the country. We just don't have the local infrastructure. I think staying in some kind of hostel accommodation is definitely preferable to a lot of students and having to travel from the likes of Dublin, Sligo, Monaghan to try and get to their courses every morning, and it's definitely a lot less toll on them.
Yeah.
As long as the students are able to get to college at this stage is all we're looking for.
Yeah, and not sleep in the cars in some cases too. Right, sorry, Councillor Rena Donaghy, just to bring you in here now, what's your views?
Yeah, well, certainly, Greg, it's a huge challenge given the wider challenge that there is at the moment for accommodation and housing in general, and that's impacting the student accommodation as well. And it's limited what can be done in the short term. But the key solution is developing more housing supply across the board for people as well as students. And as Pat has rightly said, and in the short term, I think we have to look to encourage those who can provide digs or rent a room. And yes, that is a fact. It's 14,000 per year tax free for anybody who does want to engage in that. That would be maybe a short term solution. But I think, and you said yourself, we are so lucky here now to have the ATU, the Atlantic Technological University. We fought for 30 years to get this status. It's one of the most positive things to happen in the county. And the ATU is the backbone of the county. And I believe that we should be looking at the ATU's own accommodation. It's paramount that the university has student accommodation. Realistically, I think we should be looking at 500 student bed accommodation. We need to be looking at capital grants.
Yeah, Rita, I get that. And with all due respect, let's make it 25,000 because at the moment it's pie in the sky. As you say, 30 years in the making this, did no one at any point sit around a table and say, you know what, we could achieve this? I mean, we're talking tens of millions of euro have been invested in this. Did no one think, or perhaps they did, and if they did, what went wrong, that because of the popularity, we are going to need more accommodation? And
yeah,
where
absolutely.
is it? We've less accommodation.
Yeah, and there was a very fine premises in Letterkenny, not too far from the ATU, for it lay derelict for years and years and years, and it wasn't taken up, and it's now in direct provision.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I just think,
and that was a decision by the owners. They decided that that's what they wanted. In fairness, they decided. I think, Edward, do you want to come back in there?
Yeah, sorry to hop on there. It was just when you're chatting about.
By the way, just hop in. You don't have to announce it. It's perfectly fine. Rena and Pat, well capable of dealing with it. I can assure you of that, Edward. Go ahead.
It's just when you're chatting about plans to build accommodation, the IT actually has it in their master plan for the last number of years to provide accommodation. Plans have been drawn up, they've been priced, but up until now, there has been no structure in Ireland for ITs to borrow money. It's reflected negatively on the government's balance sheet, and therefore there was no drawdown ability for them for capital grants, investments, or any of the other.
But that's the reason why, but that's no excuse in my view. It's a reason, and you're perfectly right, and it's not your rules, but I mean, it still was a setup. They must have said, right, we need to, you know how we have this system whereby you have to have university status to draw down funding at certain rates and balance books and all that. Well, we're going to have to do something about that to make sure we have accommodation when this actually becomes a university. There's a lot of people actually, believe it or not, texting in saying, where do you get more information about rent a room? You know, so like I really think there could be a push on for the next week or two to really try and get the word out there that people can give up a room, rent a room to students and make up to €14,000 per year tax free with the cost of living. I mean, that would be a huge lift for some people. What kind of what is the role of the university or the union in terms of liaising with landlords, or if there's any problems or support in that regard, just so people know that too, Edward, while we are on a roll?
Yeah, so the union facilitate completely our accommodation list through the IT or through the TU. So if there is any issues with students, we can negotiate and liaison between them, and we have over the last number of years. And it's imperative that landlords who are thinking of renting the students reach out to us, because if you're not on our official list, there's not much we can do as far as liaison goes. But if it's an issue with students, sometimes it helps to have the union step in and just kind of have a chat with them, because they tend to respond better from their own peer group. And I think a lot of students tend to see us as that.
How much of before bringing you in, Pat, I just want to ask one question to either put something to bed or to confirm it. How much of the lack of accommodation this year, particularly, in your view, is because of us helping refugees?
it is definitely a pressure, but not as big as it's made out to be perfectly honest, Greg. Like, we've had these conversations last year, and the unions before have had this. I've been reading through the pre-budget submissions of USA for the last 4 years. Every year without fail, student accommodation has been issued. It's been an issue for the last 10 years, and it's just building.
Right, I just wanted to hear that directly from you, because you actually know. Lots of people have opinions, but they don't necessarily know what the lay of the land is. Pat, sorry, you wanted to come in there, please.
I just wanted to come in terms of going back to the point, like, technological universities have been a strategic objective of the Higher Education Authority for a number of years, and they started to be created in 2019. Right, and that pattern has continued. So really, one would have thought that the financing issue would have been faced, given that it was a clear strategic priority of the Higher Education Authority, and given the creation of the new Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and whatever. That creation of that department offered a really unique opportunity to focus on and plan for trends as regards the whole higher education sector. So it is true that this has not suddenly appeared as a crisis, right? The bus has been coming down the road since 2019. I think the situation as regards rent a room has been exacerbated by COVID. But that's where I think it's so important to have a real push now when anxiety about COVID is receding.
Mm-hmm. Rena, sorry, I cut away from you. I wonder, had you finished your expressing your views on this topic?
Yeah, no, well, I was just going to say that the university no doubt will be welcoming an increased number of students now with the status in that, and places from the CAO are increasing, and we need to embrace this and be able to accommodate it. Students from Northern Ireland that generally would have went to Northern Ireland will be seeking and securing places in Letterkenny as well. And we have a long history in Donegal of producing excellent students. We've had far too much brain drain to other countries. If we had the student accommodation here, we have the hospitals, we have the schools, we have plenty of places, we have great employers, and we want to accommodate our students in the best way that we can and make sure that we can keep them then in Donegal.
Yeah. I mean, just back to the planning, and not to labour the point, like Abbott announcing a 440 million euro investment today, they would not be making that announcement or going certain places unless they had checked out the surroundings. In other words, nothing that would hinder the development and the function of their factories and what have you. And I just wonder, maybe when we're doing it in the public sense, from public spending and public investment, I just don't think we have that same level of organisation, because maybe there's not the same level of accountability. Okay, we have to take a quick break. Before we do, just to some of the comments coming in here now, because I can be a bit lazy on this. So many disused properties in Letterkenny alone. Owners have a responsibility to make these properties usable. I think there'd be some agreement with that. Good morning, Greg. They had plenty of accommodation across the road that they let be given to refugees, so it's the ATU's board and the government's fault, not forward-thinking, pure virtual signalling. On that one, Edward, they had plenty of accommodation, but they gave it to refugees. That's what a listener believes.
We, the union, were in talks at that time, and we were looking to keep that for students, but unfortunately it just wasn't a possibility. As you said, it was privately owned. There's nothing we could do to stop somebody.
They made a commercial
to take
decision,
their property and apply it to other changes.
Yeah, I remember it at the time, because it was there's nothing could be, unless you compulsory purchased the property and decided to do something with it. It's what they wanted to do. Glennie, house at Tesco Roundabout, why can't this be used for students if it was fixed up? Greg, where do you get your information on rent a room for students? Well, we'll actually dig that out and make that available to people. Is it true that a lot of students either can't afford the rent or are always behind in paying the rent, and this is why landlords won't take them? Edward, do you want a word on that? Have people given up? I mean, we heard from Professor O'Connor there, and I think it's certainly a huge factor, I would say, because of COVID and having strangers in your house and all that kind of stuff. But are landlords exiting the student accommodation business because they're not getting paid?
That's not what we've heard from our end, Greg. And as I said, If there was a case that was underpayments, we do offer liaison services, and there was on the list, and we had no complaints last year from any landlords. Even in landlords leaving our list, that hasn't been an issue.
Okay, no complaints from current landlords or those that left the list. For students to ensure that you take photos of your apartment when you first move to protect your deposit. Yeah, that's a conversation we've had in the past, but it's amazing how it's almost trumped by the fact that students can't actually get accommodation to begin with, let alone to worry about whether or not the deposit is protected. But it's still very good and important advice. Okay, back from with more from our panel after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate holiday loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, your football specialist. Multi-buy discounts on footballs from Mitre, Adidas and O'Neill's. Training equipment, combs, bibs, water bottle sets. View our complete range on bmcsports.ie. Have your team look the part with some Adidas leisure wear. New Entrada 22 quarter zips with matching bottoms. Training packs available for all ages. Look the part, play the part. In-store, online, mobile. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
Hegarty's Auto Body Repairs in Letterkenny have been keeping cars on the road across the northwest for the past 50 years. Hegarty's are the only Ford-approved body shop in the northwest, but repair all makes and models. Paintless dent removal, windscreen replacement and restoration work. Hegarty's even mix their own paint. Approved by most insurance companies and certified Steel Standards Ireland. That's Hegarty's Auto Body, Letterkenny. For all vehicle repairs. See hegartys.com.
Visit Knockshrine from the 14th to the 22nd of August. Hear from guest speakers at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. daily with something for everyone to feel enriched and inspired.
Don't miss our family day on Sunday the 21st of August from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bringing you a wonderful range of fun activities for all ages. Face painting, kite making and much more. All on the beautiful grounds of Knockshrine. Find out more at knockshrine.ie.
Knockshrine. Culture, faith and prayer since 1879.
Can you rent a room if you're an old age pensioner, or would you lose the pension? Does anyone know the answer to that one categorically, I wonder?
I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I'm happy to be corrected.
No, I would. That would
yes,
be...
I believe you can, yeah. It's right across the board.
All right, another caller says, Greg, Rent-A-Room has been in operation for the last 20 years and most people are aware of it, especially in large towns and cities. Do you think there is a general awareness of it and the tax breaks?
I think people were aware of it, but I think it's kind of slipped out of their head. I think the 2 years of COVID made people feel they didn't want anyone in their homes.
Okay. The issue not being highlighted is a lot of properties are being let out for Airbnb and landlords are looking for the most hassle-free way to secure an income all year round and hence are getting out of rental. Yeah, that's a possibility.
The government has not been strict enough in enforcing rules around Airbnb. I completely agree with that caller. It needs to be tightened up and that would help.
Greg, I think Rent-A-Room could be abused. I remember when my daughter was starting college in Maynooth and was looking for accommodation, some of the rooms were box rooms and just looked like a child's bedroom going by decor, where parents just thought they could let out and make a bit of money, just ripping people off as they know students are desperate. But I think the situation we're in now, Edward, for the right money, listen, they're going to go home at the weekends, I think mostly. A boxed room, providing they weren't paying through the nose, would be welcome.
It would be welcome, Greg, and to be honest, that I think is the crux of the issue. The fact that students have no persuasion power there, they can't be involved in any kind of negotiation because we are in such a desperate need.
Greg, please talk about what do you have to do when you keep a student. Does it mean you have to cook for them and wash their clothes? You're not.
Well, this is the distinction between, it's called rent a room, not be a mammy. Okay.
They would love that. Now, don't forget to separate your whites from your darks. Okay. All right, thanks for that. Keep them calls and comments coming in. Right, okay. A quick one on this. The Irish Rugby Football Union's being urged to reconsider its decision to ban transgender women from female contact rugby competitions due to fears it will set a dangerous precedent in other sports. Equality groups and rugby clubs have described the move as regressive and disappointing. In a statement issued during the week, the IRFU said the decision was based on medical evidence and follows World Rugby guidance. This means that contact rugby for players in the female category will be limited to those born female. Now, we understand the GEA and soccer bodies are also reviewing their stances, and in terms of the amount of people, transgender people it affects, it's very small at the moment. Well, we're talking to you, Pat O'Connor, so I'll stay with you. This is a conversation that's happening across this country and across the world. What do you think? I mean, obviously, there's been a big pushback on this from representative groups. Do you have a feeling on it?
Well, firstly, I know nothing about rugby, okay? I generally know very little about most physical contact sports, and I'm very happy to talk about things I know about. Obviously, I do know that rugby is very dangerous in the sense that there's been this linking of dementia to concussion in the case of rugby players. I also know that not everybody, and this now I'm speaking really from a base of ignorance, right? That not all rugby players are large. I mean, there was that fella Pete Stringer, am I right? Was he rugby?
Yeah.
Quite small. So in a way, so that's in the context of saying that I'm not at all sure that issues surrounding the protection, it seems to me the decision is being made, the IRFU are saying on the grounds of protecting physically the team players, since those who are designated male at birth and who subsequently transitioned may be physically endangering those who are female at birth because of the developments, particularly at adolescence, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, in a way, it seems the argument is that medical evidence is supporting this on grounds of on grounds of safety for women. But I am puzzled as to why then they have been so reluctant to face the issue of dementia, for example, in players, and which is a proven risk, and their number, as I understand it, a number of players are taking cases about this. So really, this is an extremely difficult issue in the sense that obviously those who've transitioned feel that they're not being treated as the gender they wish. But as I also understand it, the IRFU are saying those who were designated female at birth and transition. No, those who are designated, there's one category that they're allowing to play, basically, and they're offering other opportunities for involvement of trans people. So really, I don't feel I'm clear enough on
No, that's okay. And your point is well made. And I respect it's an issue that everyone wants to necessarily have a public view on because it is incredibly complex. But we'll only have a brief chat on this because there's other stuff we will want to get onto. Rena, do you have a view?
Yeah, I would concur totally with Pat, and there is a review ongoing at the moment. And I think we need to strongly consider the medical evidence that's available. And that's I like Pat. I don't know an awful lot about it, but the review has taken place at the moment, and there no doubt that there will be changes, and there does need to be changes. But we'll just have to wait and see what the outcome is.
All right, and briefly to you, Edward.
Obviously, my experience, I have played rugby for a number of years, and it is an extremely physical sport. But on my under 14s and under 16s rugby team, there actually was a woman at the time because there wasn't an equivalent team, and she could put down any man in the pitch just as well as I could.
All right, okay.
So I do think it's an extremely nuanced issue, and we don't have enough real evidence into it. Last time I was reading up on the medical journals, I do appreciate a review, and I think it's important that whatever is going forward, that safety is the number one priority.
Okay, the Association of Secondary Teachers in Ireland has said it will ballot its members next month on possible industrial action. Earlier, the Irish National Teachers Organisation said it would also ballot its members on potential strike action unless the government puts a respectable pay offer on the table. Both unions are recommending that their members mandate them to utilise all options up to and including strike action in order to secure pay rises. And this has led to the annual teacher bashing and teachers having to come out and defend themselves. At least the conversation's happening in August rather than September, when all the teachers are working and maybe can't express themselves as they might want to. A lot of people think teachers are already well paid, and you know yourself, Rena, they'll talk about long holidays and all that type of stuff. What is your view on this? Do you think teachers deserve a pay rise now greater than that which has been offered by the government, which is around 2 or 3% plus whatever's already been added this year?
Yeah, well, I think there needs to be a look across the public service at the increased cost of living and the response from the government to that. There has been significant pressure on in terms of inflation, and we've seen record inflation, I think the highest maybe in 37 years, particularly driven by energy costs and fuel costs and the impact that this is having on the cost of living in food and on all products, and that's impacting on all walks of life. It's affecting teachers and it's affecting those in the private sector as well. But no doubt the private sector, they will respond in their own way. And the government have said that the upcoming budget, that the cost of living will be a key consideration. Pascal Donoghue has said that. And this needs to be a mixture of cost of living support and then tax packages and whatever. But I have to say that students generally now, compared to 30, 40, 50 years ago, education is very, very different, and students generally love going to school compared to what it used to be in my time. Teachers have a very, very challenging job now, and they have a lot more work to do than what people can see or think of. Teachers instill great confidence in their students nowadays. And now, obviously, some teachers are better than others. But teachers they're preparing schemes of work. The things that people don't see are teachers preparing schemes of work, preparing lesson plans, creating exercises for various abilities.
Why are they doing that so much, that stuff on their own time up to 10, 11 or 12 o'clock at night? I don't think anyone should expect people to work outside their working day, yet teachers often will tell you they're working till 10, 11 o'clock at night, marking stuff at home. I mean, maybe the job of work needs to be restructured if that's the case.
Yeah, well, that is how it is. And I do know that from my being involved with adult learners, and I see the workload at first hand. And there is an awful lot. And teachers are very, very dedicated. And I know people are saying, oh, teachers are off for the summer and they have the full wage. That is factored into the 12-month wage. It's not just that they're off all summer. And I know teachers that are in these days and have been in recent weeks preparing the classroom, maybe particularly in more in national schools, and getting the classroom ready and getting the reposters up and all of that work done. You know, I just think that teachers deserve their time off. I think people don't see what the workload is. There's a huge responsibility there.
Just in relation to pay, just moving on a little bit, they received a 1% pay rise, I think, since January 2021. There's a 2.5% pay rise offer on the table as of the negotiations, was it in March, and the month that follows. Do you believe that pay offer should be increased closer to the, say, let's take a inflation rate of 9%, or should they, like the rest of us, have the pressures of inflation eased through decisions made in the budget in terms of taxation? Like, do you believe teachers deserve a 9% pay rise this year? Let me put it as direct as that to you.
Well, I think it should be. I think we should be looking at it across the board, and I think that it should be factored in the cost of living and in tax cuts or whatever. But I think right across the whole services, it needs to be looked at, with the nurses, with the guards, with the paramedics, with everybody else. And I think it needs to be looked at right across the board.
All right, Pat.
Yes, I mean, the fact is inflation is 9.1%. It's estimated that it will increase to 10%. It is also clear from the government that they're not going to be able to protect everyone from the cost of living increases. It's also clear that not all the inflationary pressures are due to energy. It has been estimated that there's about 6% that are due to other sources. So that basically means the people in the private sector have effectively, businesses, been catching up on what they lost during COVID. Now, at one level, this is very reasonable, but at another level, it is pushing inflation. So, I mean, focusing on the teachers, as Rena has said, is a bit kind of partial.
But they are, in fairness, though, it is they that have come out this week asking their members to give them the latitude to do what they need to do. Do you know what I mean? So,
yes, I know.
I didn't ring up the ASTI and say, what's your views on this?
I know, but the whole public sector is really going to be involved in this issue, right? And the question is, like, if we were talking about nurses, or if we were talking about midwives, like, in a way, the conversation might be quite different. Do you know? But the basic issue for me is that the private sector has been through, I mean, you need only look at the profits that are being made by energy providers at a time where people's energy bills are going up through the roof. So it's not simply because of the Russian war. It's not simply because of basically other pressures.
Yes.
Somebody is making
Pat, yes, they are. And unfortunately, we all are subjected to that. Public, private, the whole lot of us, whatever we do, we're all subjected to that. But it's the teachers that have come out this week balloting their members or seeking a mandate from their members. Do you believe that they deserve a pay rise, say, in the region of 9%?
I don't think that they are going to get 9%, but I think it is appropriate that basically an improvement from 2.5% be made. I do think that there is a problem. Inflation, like there is the example of the classic kind of case of a teacher and a nurse can no longer afford to buy a house, right? Two people in good, inverted commas, well-paid jobs. And that tells you that effectively, you know, the housing prices are increasing stratospherically and the cost of living, day-to-day rents, etc. So you have, in a way, if we don't increase...
Okay, could you explain that to me? You give the example, a nurse and a teacher can't afford to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
But neither can a hairdresser and a plumber.
Exactly.
So what does that mean?
But it means...
Like, because if you're a teacher or you're a nurse, should you automatically be able to afford a mortgage?
But from the point of view of parents, the effect of this is that there won't be teachers in Dublin. And there won't be nurses in Dublin. Now, in a way, of course, if you can't get a plumber, you also have a problem. And probably a hairdresser you can perhaps do without up to a point.
Me certainly.
if you happen to be follically challenged, right? But in a way, it is already the pattern that young teachers they're cutting down range of subjects in Dublin schools because they can't get teachers.
Well, a teacher said on the programme yesterday, if it's such an attractive proposition with holidays and everything, it's never too late to retrain and get in front of a classroom if you think it's that easy a job.
Exactly.
And if it were, perhaps we wouldn't have the shortage of teachers that we have. Edward Grant, who has a delightful head of hair. Edward, what's your view?
To be honest, I think the union's 100% backing the teachers' union at the moment. I think education is the single most vital commodity that we have as a society. And I think as well that we need to really remember that strikes aren't the negative thing they seem to be being out to be. Without strikes, we wouldn't have weekends, we wouldn't have overtime, we wouldn't have maternity leave, we wouldn't have the equality laws, we wouldn't have sick days. There's so much that unions have given us over the years, and I do think recently it's starting to change public opinion, that people seem to be scared of strikes, they seem to not like them, and I think it's understanding that is a vital part of our democracy, the ability to protest, the ability to strike, and it needs to be upheld.
Who drives the sort of anti-teacher sentiment that we see every year, I wonder? Because I'm not sure how widely there is an anti-teacher view out there. And I don't mean that in its strongest terms, but you know what I mean, that even if it's just passive, in other words, oh, well, sure, another 3 months holidays for you and all that kind of stuff. And the media love it because there's plenty of mileage out of that. Rena, Pat, who...
Yeah, you know, I suppose it's called teacher bashing, and that's been around for a long time. And I think it's because people have this idea that a teacher starts at 9 o'clock and finishes at 3 or finishes at 4. And also the summer holiday. I think that's where it all kind of stems for. They don't see beyond that. And there is, honestly, a huge workload, I know, from teachers that, you know, compared to what it was years ago. And as I say...
Is it particularly difficult in primary school?
Yeah. And secondary school as well. There's big challenges now in secondary schools. Absolutely big challenges for teachers. Yeah.
I do think probably it was fueled. Am I cutting in Urena?
No.
Sorry. I think it was fueled by poor childcare facilities, and demented parents were basically, often mothers, were feeling, oh my God, you know, here am I 24/7 out of my mind, right? And these teachers, you know, have a lot easier time. I think paradoxically, COVID did actually change some people's attitudes, and that they found that even teaching your own children, right, 3 or 4 of them, was actually quite a task they did not enjoy. And the idea of teaching 30 of them, right, began to seem as not quite such a doddle as they had always assumed it would be. So I think it is to some extent stoked by the media, but I do think it has come from poor childcare facilities, poor backup for parents.
But just to hop in there as well, I think it's really important to remember that all the people chatting about how easy it is to become a teacher don't actually really think the logistics of being a student teacher. In a survey released by USA, I think it was 2020, so that 42% of student teachers considered dropping out due to financial pressures. They were paying up to €60 extra on resources a week and up to €40 extra a week on travel. It's not an easy journey to get there, so the people that do are real heroes in my eyes.
Would you get away with your facts? We're not interested in facts here. We want speculation and conjecture.
Okay.
You know me, Greg. Can't help a wee bit of weekend reading.
You do like the facts, Greg. You do
I do. I'm being facetious. Okay, we'll be back with more from our guests after this break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Make the most of the great weather with Homeland Summer Garden Clearance. There's the Omega 200 gas barbecue, €179. Save €50. Madrid patio planters, buy one get one free. Kids TV tent, only $29.99. Save €20. Shop the full range of offers in-store and online at homeland.ie while stocks last.
Get a great Clarence gift this week from McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Buy 2 Clarence skincare products, one to be moisturiser or serum, and you'll get a choice of 3 treat-sized essentials from a selection of 8. But which 3 will you choose? This great Clarence offer is available while stocks last. In-store at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less. For any skincare advice, call in and talk to the resident skincare consultants, Mary or Gemma.
Attention all tractor and forklift owners. Donegal Tyres in Donegal Town is a leading supplier of agricultural and solid forklift tyres in the northwest, with a huge range available at competitive prices. Donegal Tyres can help you choose the correct tyre for your application, and we will come to you, so no downtime. Check out DonegalTyres.com or call 07497 21482. That's Donegal Tyres, Donegal Town, where you'll get a great deal.
A public service announcement from Donegal County Council. National Heritage Week takes place from Saturday, August 13th to Sunday, August 21st and sees a full return to in-person events, so there's lots of opportunities to enjoy, engage with and support Donegal's natural, built and cultural heritage. This year's theme is Sustainable Heritage and Biodiversity, so why not explore our heritage through guided walks, heritage site visits, field trips, exhibitions, illustrated presentations, workshops, storytelling, historical reenactments, children's activities or traditional skills demonstrations. To discover what's happening in Donegal, check out the Heritage Week website at heritageweek.ie. Donegal County Council, serving the people of Donegal.
Foyle Coaches North West Busways have a vacancy for a bus driver on the Inishowen to Derry service route. You must have a clean Category D driving licence, CPC compliant and tachograph digital card. This is a full-time position. To apply, forward your CV by email to info@foylecoaches.com or by post to Foyle Coaches North West Limited, Clar, Redcastle, County Donegal.
Couple of listeners with the same type of inquiry. How much do you get for keeping a student? I housed students years ago, but I'd say the rate has changed for an ensuite, single room, shared room, etc. Do we have rates, Edward? Do we know what the going rate is, or what?
The average kind of around town at the moment for digs is anywhere from €80 to €100 a week. So you're looking at about €360 to €400 a month.
And is that set by the landlord? Is it variable, dependent on maybe if there were an ensuite room, for example?
100%, that would be completely up to the landlord to set those rates. The union has no qualifying rates at the moment for our accommodation list just because the situation is so desperate.
McCullough says, teachers work hard and get paid for it. Not many other professions get the perks. Teachers get a €100,000 lump sum for retirement at the end. Is that true?
Well, any public servant, there are arrangements as regards retirement. And it depends, obviously, retirements are, financial lump sum is better if you started if you started 1970s, whereas if you started, for example, the ones who are starting now will continue till on a graduated scale to 70 and will get less.
Just in relation to teachers, do you think, we were talking before the break about, people's attitude to them. Do you think it's because we take any criticism or any involvement with our children so personally that maybe some parents see teachers as in some way, Pat, as an enemy or something? Do you know what I mean? That they might give an end of year report that they don't like, and then that can sort of harden a view that they might have?
I don't really think that's part of it. Now, I do think the fact that most parents, their greatest involvement with teachers up to recently would have been at primary level, because there's obviously greater need for interaction with children, and most of those teachers are women. So I think there is kind of a bit of a residual sexism, misogyny, devaluation. Who do these women think they are, getting all this money for looking after these children? And really, I don't get anything for looking after them, and why should they?
Okay, doke. Have any of you seen the new county council outfits? They've teamed up with sportswear suppliers O'Neill to launch an exciting new range of branded clothing. Are you across this, Rena?
Yeah, that's right.
Who's doing the marketing? Why don't I have any? Look, I have to wear dumb stuff. Who's doing the marketing? I should be sitting here in this gear.
Yeah, well, you can see my background here today, the Donegal DNA. Yes, Donegal has teamed up with sportswear supplier O'Neill's to launch a new range of branded clothing. And back in April 2021, when I was mayor of the county, a new place brand for Donegal was introduced to promote the region as a great place to live, to work, to invest, to rear a family, to study, to explore, whatever. And the design, which visually communicates a fingerprint, symbolises the county's unique DNA, D, Donegal, NA, the three letters. Collectively, that represents a number of Donegal's distinct assets, from its rich heritage to its strong diaspora, its warm, welcoming people, so on, so on.
We're advertising boards, really. I mean, instead of Adidas or Nike, we're advertising the county.
No, well, we've always had a very good history of advertising. Let it be Hannah.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, by the way, Rita. It's not a bad thing.
No, I know. In partnership with O'Neill's Leisurewear Ncbi Donegal has launched a range of clothing available in participating retailers right across the county. So they can now proudly showcase your Donegal DNA. Let that be T-shirts, polo shirts, outerwear, or whatever. And then places like, now we have other great providers. We have O'Reilly's and Ballybofey, to name but a few, you know. But and anybody that comes up with this kind of proposal, we will gladly embrace it and look at it.
Okay, well, listen, it's not a bad marketing strategy, I suppose. Thank you, Rena, for highlighting and appreciating the dedication and work teachers put in after teaching hours. We asked students to leave our house as they were misbehaving. On leaving, they set light to a bin in the bedroom. Thank God I was at home. I mean, that's one isolated incident. I'm sure it's not reflective of students at all. Right, read teachers. If it's such a special job, why are some of the most unsuitable people allowed to become teachers? They're in it for the money and holidays, and many haven't a clue as to how to actually teach. Maybe that feeds into your views, Pat, as to, you know, what forms the general public's views.
Yes, well, I mean, in a way, show me an occupation that, you know, is only staffed by perfect people, you know.
Well, journalism. Quite the contrary. Actually, quite the contrary, if the truth is told. All right. Listen, Pat, it's always a pleasure to have you on the programme. I really appreciate you accepting our invite again. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and we'll chat to you soon.
A pleasure, Greg.
Okay, thank you so very much indeed. Councillor Rena Donaghy, have a great weekend. See you soon.
Thanks very much, Greg, and enjoy the good weather.
Hopefully we all can indeed. And last but certainly not least, President of the Students' Union at ATU in Letterkenny, Edward Grant. Edward, good man, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it again.
Thanks for having me on, Greg. Remember the sunscreen.
Yeah, remember the sunscreen. Not a bad idea. Okay. Listen, thank you very much as well. All right, that is all we have time for before the news and obituary notices. We'll be back thereafter.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The big bucks are back. 4 Fridays.
4 winners.
Plus 1 lucky jackpot.
Oh, that ain't working.
€2,500 every Friday.
And on the 4th Friday,
September 2nd, someone also wins
10,000 cash money.
Go to highlandradio.com and get your €10 ticket. It's a whole new meaning to cash flow. Highland Radio.
That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing.
Summer's just got better.
Ooh.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Fancy an adventure? Pack up the car and enjoy a day out with the National Trust in Fermanagh. Find magnificent mansions, tree-lined trails and riverside rambles. Go butterfly spotting at Castle Cool. Hire a bike at Florence Court and explore Lough Erne by boat at Crom. Watch the sunset from your tent or glamping pod. Explore and re-explore, adventure and re-adventure. Search National Trust NI to find out more. National Trust, for everyone, forever.
Declutter this summer with Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms. Inflation-beating built-in wardrobe special offer. Get a 2-metre-long wardrobe with 2 free mirrors built in for €1,099. Check us out online or book an appointment viewing in our Donegal Town showroom today on 07497 25822. Cherrymore. More bedrooms your way since 1996.
It's a 4-hour dancing spectacular this Friday night at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal, with Jimmy Buckley and his award-winning band, launching their brand new single, Fiddle in the Band. Doors open at 9 p.m. Support from Conor O'Donnell with Jimmy Buckley on stage at 11:30 p.m. Dance the night away at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town this Friday night.
New acres payment rates revealed. For more in your Farmer's Journal is Paul Mooney.
Farmers will be paid to plant trees, hedgerows and leave land idle. We have all the payment details. We have essential heatwave advice for keeping you and your animals safe. Find out which counties will likely see stocking rate cuts. Plus save tax by paying your children for farm work.
And pick up an entry form inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal for your chance to win €10,000 with Zurich Farm Insurance. In shops now.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Emma Ryan. The ATU Student Union has submitted a request for a capital grant to buy student property in a bid to combat the accommodation crisis. A large number of students have been unable to secure permanent accommodation for the college year ahead, and it is feared that many students may be forced to drop out or defer. ATU Student Union President Edward Grant says the potential of buying new property would alleviate the problem long term. However, temporary measures are also desperately needed for the next month.
I've submitted to our national body, USA, our request for the interim pre-budget submission. Included in this here is the idea of a capital grant investment for TUs to be able to draw down funds to either build new property or, in the more hopeful scenario, to be able to buy urbanised property and renovate them, retrofit them for student use. And without kind of immediate access to those kind of temporary measures, I don't see it improving much between now and then. I see the possibility of a lot of dropouts happening this year.
Police are appealing for information and witnesses following a report of theft and assault at a shop in the Church Meadow area of Derry last night. 4 males arrived at the shop, caused a disturbance and stole a number of items. While leaving the shop, one of the males was confronted by a staff member and he punched her on the side of the face. With more, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
Police received a report that 4 males arrived at the premises in a silver vehicle entering the shop after 9 p.m. They caused a disturbance in the store and had stolen a number of items. While leaving the shop, one of the males was confronted by a staff member and he punched her on the side of the face. She required hospital treatment for her injuries. Police inquiries into this incident are ongoing and the males are described as being aged in their mid-20s with one possibly in his 40s. The male who carried out the assault has blonde hair and was wearing a navy zipped top, shorts and socks with sandals. This was a despicable attack and the staff member was left incredibly shaken by what was obviously a terrifying experience for her. Police are appealing to anyone who was in the area at the time and has any information or who saw 4 males matching these descriptions to call detectives on 101.
Donegal town-based US medtech giant Abbott Laboratories have announced additional jobs for Donegal. Abbott will invest in new equipment for its Donegal Diabetes Care Centre and is to construct a new greenfield manufacturing facility in Kilkenny, representing a combined investment of €440 million and creating 1,000 jobs between the both sites. The new jobs will be in the areas of engineering, quality control, medical device manufacturing and other science-based areas. IDA Regional Business Development Manager for the Northwest, Michelle Conahan, says the site in Donegal Town is a centre of excellence for diabetes care.
It's terrific news, Emma. The Abbott Diabetes Care Facility in Donegal Town is a centre of excellence for blood glucose monitoring, and the investment today shows further commitment in the site, and that will make this estate the leader in the production of high-tech glucose monitoring devices. So yes, it's an absolute specialisation, but we shouldn't forget, like Abbott have a number of sites across Ireland and a significant footprint here in the northwest, with 3 sites overall, with the one in Donegal, but also there's 2 in Sligo.
Belfast is out of the running for hosting the Eurovision next year. The city failed to make the shortlist of 7 cities being considered to host the event. It was previously suggested by Alderman Derry Cussey that Derry City and Strabane District Council submit a bid to hold the Eurovision in the area. However, the bid did not proceed. Song contest organisers decided the tradition to hold it in the winning nation couldn't happen this year because of Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. The National Parents' Councils for Primary School Children says this autumn is shaping up to be the most expensive ever for families of those returning to the classroom. It's calling on the government to scrap the practice of voluntary contributions which parents pay to run their respective local schools. The fees per household can range from €200 to €400 per school year. Anya Lynch of the National Parents' Council says the process is grossly unfair, particularly for parents who have more than one child at primary school.
The cost of living crisis that we're currently experiencing adds to the pressure that families are under with the back-to-school costs. And remembering that back-to-school costs, there are a number of costs around that all come at the same time. Parents often have more than one child, so it's multiplied by the amount of children they have. So it really is becoming a more significant issue for parents.
To weather now, very warm, dry and sunny today with highs of 26 to 28 degrees with some light winds. That's all the news for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock, but until then, good morning. Obituary notices for Friday morning, August 12th. The death has taken place of Rosie Diver, Nee Cannon, Middletown, Derry Beg, and formerly of Lower Keel Drum, Gorta Hork. Her remains will repose at her home from 11 a.m. today. Rosary tonight at 9 p.m. and tomorrow at 8 p.m. House private after the Rosary to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Church, Derry Beg at 11 a.m. on Sunday with interment afterwards in Mctaggart Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Daniel Gallagher, Dan Rua, Strana Corcra, Derry Beg. His remains are reposing at his home. Rosary nightly at 8 p.m. House private after the Rosary and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Church, Derry Beg tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. with interment afterwards in Mctaggart Cemetery. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director Facebook page. The death has taken place of Kathleen Rose Lynch, Nee Hollywood, late of 12 Crockmore Road, Craigbean, Claudy, County Derry. Funeral leaving her late residence this afternoon at 12:20 p.m. for 1 p.m. Requiem Mass in St Joseph's Church, Craigbean, with interment immediately afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, and donations if desired in lieu to Dementia NI, care of McLaughlin Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme. We are going to take a quick break for the bingo numbers and we'll be right back thereafter.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 12th of August. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S20. It's game number 32. The numbers are 49, 6, 8, 40, 50, 44, 68, 62, 43, and finally 38. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Ncbi Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The legends are coming.
The legends of golf are coming.
The countdown is on. Yes, there are only a number of days to the start of the Irish Legends. Presented by the McGinley Foundation, the event takes place at Rosapena Hotel and Golf Resort. Tuesday the 16th, their fairways will be filled with celebrities from the world of sport and entertainment. And Thursday the 18th is the start of the professional competition. Witness some of the greats of the game, including Ryder Cup captains, major winners, taken to the links of Rosapena over 3 days. Will they be up to the challenge? Tickets now on sale at legendstour.com. Irish Legends, presented by the McGinley Foundation. Century Complex Letterkenny are holding a charity fun day in aid of Donegal Hospice and Letterkenny Food Bank on Wednesday the 24th of August. Check out centurycinemas.ie and Century Cinemas social media pages for more information on how you can help support these charities while having lots of fun on Wednesday the 24th of August.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Are you looking to upskill this September? Choose one of 18 fantastic Springboard Plus programs available at Atlantic Technological University, Donegal. Fully funded for the unemployed and 90% funded for those in employment. Embrace the future and learn new skills with flexible, funded courses in business, computing, tourism, culinary arts and engineering. Visit lyit.ie/springboard. The future is here. Springboard Plus is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
Ancient tales, storied traditions, wild meadows, meandering rivers, medieval might, Georgian splendour. Ireland's rich heritage is all around us and it's waiting to be discovered. Celebrate our natural, cultural and built heritage and ensure our past has a future. Join us this Heritage Week from August 13th to 21st. Visit heritageweek.ie to plan your week and find out more. This is a programme of the Heritage Council, supported by the local authorities, Heritage Officers Network and the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
OK, later this morning we are going to be giving away €2,500 in cash, literally in cash. We'll have it here for you at Highland Radio. Now you can choose to do with it what you wish. It might be what will ease the pressure over the winter, or maybe you can treat yourself, whatever. It's completely up to you. Now what's important is you have now 48 minutes to buy a ticket if you want to and if you can afford to enter the €20,000 big summer mega cash giveaway here on Highland Radio. We have 4 draws over the next 4 weeks for €2,500. On the final week, an extra €10,000 will be given away. Now, what's important about the next 48 minutes is that if you enter now, you are guaranteed to be in all 5 draws. It's €10 a ticket. You buy 5, you get 1 free. You buy 8, you get 2 free. That's kind of the way it works, isn't it? So if you want to be in all 5 draws, get on our website right now, preferably, and it's highlandradio.com. You'll see the link there. It's a pretty simple process, and get your ticket. You never know. We have the Trombola, Fanula's Trombola is in studio, and it's going to be loaded with all the tickets. The lines close temporarily today at 11 o'clock. Well, they don't close as such, but they close for the draw, which is taking place later in this programme, if that makes sense. So as I say, it's just to make sure no one misses out, and I'm not trying to coerce you. It's completely up to you, and it's very important to me that you do it for fun and that you can afford it, okay? But if you want to enter all 5 draws for the €20,000, 4 of 4.5, 2.5, 1 of 10, you have to enter within the next 47 minutes. Now, if you don't do online, but you want to buy a ticket over the telephone, it's very busy, by the way. We'll have to call you back, I think, but you can call us right now on 07491 25,000 and we will sell you the ticket or give you the ticket over the telephone. Right, so those are the best 2 options to be in all 5 draws. But as I say, you've got just 46 minutes now to get your tickets this morning to make sure that you're in the draw at 11:30. Next Friday's draw, the draw after that, the draw after that, and then, of course, the big one, €10,000. And not that it matters because the odds would seem remote, but just in case, if you win the $2,500 today, your number goes back into the draw drum. It's rotated. It could be drawn out the week after. You could be drawn out for the 10,000. You know what? Stranger things have happened. So in other words, even if you win today, you're still in the mix for the $2,500 later in the month. and also the €10,000. So as I say, just so no one misses out, I'm out of breath carrying that Trombola in, believe it or not. If you want to be in all 5 draws, get your tickets now. HighlandRadio.com. It's a simple and safe process. Or call us on 07491 25,000. You can buy just the single ticket, but if you want to buy 5 or 8 tickets, you get bonus tickets then as well, of course. If you want to gift them out to someone on their birthday or give to the grandchildren or whatever. Okay. Right, actually, something that's just been handed to me. Now, I'm not 100% sure of the true implications of this because we know that Pope Benedict XVI has been releasing quite a number of statements as of late. But this morning, in the last few minutes, he's released, the Catholic broadcast has released a message on his behalf. Now, we are trying to ascertain precisely what this might mean, okay? Because I don't want to presume anything from it, but the way it's written would suggest it's really quite serious. So it's entitled A Message from Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, and it says, "Very soon I will stand before the ultimate judge of my life. Although I may have many reasons for fear, and fear when I look back on my long life, I am, however, happy because I firmly believe that the Lord is not only the righteous judge, but also the friend and brother who already suffered himself. My deficiencies, and by that as a judge, is also my advocate. In view of the judgment hour, the grace of being a Christian becomes evident to me," and it goes on somewhat. Now, I'm not sure, as I say, he's been talking about his mortality over the last number of weeks and months, but the wording of this, the first line is, "Very soon I will stand before the ultimate judge of my life." Now, I'm not sure if that means that he feels that his time on this earth is short, or as I say, if it feeds into previous statements he's made, but just thought I would bring it to you for those of you who would have an interest in that. As I say, we are contacting our journalistic friends in Rome to see if they can give us any further information in relation to that. Right. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApp or text or call 07491 25,000. Let me see, where are these comments here? Teachers guaranteed job for life. They cannot be sacked. That's not strictly true, I don't think, is it? But I mean, if they were failing in their duties or there were some indiscretion, I presume they can be sacked, surely. Morning, Greg. Unfortunately, some teachers have favourite pupils in the class. I remember it, and my children have experienced the same. Thanks. Okay. Greg, I would like those teacher bashers to go into a classroom for a week and observe what a day's work involves, not to mention a week that definitely would change their opinion. Some parents complain about being exhausted looking after 2 children. Well, try looking after 30. Do you know, it might be an interesting TV programme that, pitching people who have views about certain jobs or ways of life. Like, I would like, for instance, people that call those that work in the building trade non-skilled labour. I would like if they did a week's work of them, follow them around with cameras for a week. Wouldn't that be interesting? People who think that teachers have it incredibly handy, put them in a classroom for a week and let the cameras follow them. I'm not sure that's been done before, but I'm sure it would be an interesting idea for some TV production company where we get people who are quite vocal about others to live, walk a mile in my shoes sort of a thing and observe it. And then at the end of it, see if it changes their views. Wouldn't that be an interesting concept? On the matter of teachers' pensions, we pay a substantial deduction into our pension each month, as well as the public sector pension levy, which is hefty. How is this different to someone who pays into a private pension? We pay throughout our careers for our pension. It's not free. That's a very important comment there from a teacher in relation to the notion from an earlier text that they just end up with €100,000 when they retire. It's a contributory pension that they pay into. Morning, Greg. I'm really being frustrated now. No back to school allowance yet, and secondary school starts back less than 3 weeks' time. Any suggestions for me? Me personally, I don't know what the delay is or if it's a delay unique to you. But what I do know is we are an amazing community here across the Northwest, and I know there are other people that have done a bit of work on this, and they will know what the situation is. So, is this listener? Are they one of the ones left behind in terms of receiving, the back to school allowance, or is it yet to be issued? And when is it going to be issued? Because people need it now. I hope this wakes up our young people to the fact that Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael governments do not care about them housing, health and education. I hope they do not vote either of them in any elections for the rest of their lives. They have been in power for 80 years and more. Teachers first to have the handout for money. They wanted frontline compensation during lockdown. They taught by Zoom, finished at 11 a.m. daily. Some teachers just mailed a week's lessons, did nothing the rest of the week. Where was line management? Whingers, pensioners, welfare recipients can't go on strike. Right, okay. Just how much does a teacher earn per year? Let's get some facts here for change. Those figures are available. I can dig them out. Personally, I'm a little bit uncomfortable in going into talking about other people's income. I don't mind if a union rep was on and says, well, this is what a teacher earns in year 1 or 2 or 3. Personally, it's their private business. I would be uncomfortable with it. But anyway, some very good teachers out there, but unfortunately also a lot of bad ones. My son done his leaving cert in June, and he told us the majority of teachers at his school did not care. Well, that was his view, I understand. Greg, could you remind the professor that it was the parents who did the teaching during lockdown, as she said, yet who got paid for it? It wasn't the parents, remember, so teachers had free pay. Okay. What about all the parents? Lots of people were paid for not going to work, though, we must remember, okay? I mean, anyone who couldn't go to work was being paid not to go to work. Wasn't that what the schemes were all about? Now, obviously, maybe not the full wage. What about all the parents complaining about having to teach their weans during COVID? Would they like to teach full time? That's a good point. Will teachers ever be happy with their pay? It seems there's always looking a pay rise. Did they not know the wages before they applied for the job? Any teachers I see them seem to be well off with fancy cars, early retirement. That's another view there. I don't want to go down the road. I don't want to be all part of that, but people have their views, if you know what I mean, and we are getting some views coming in from teachers to counterbalance it too, to some extent. Okay, let's catch up at a break here. Back shortly.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
This summer, Disney Plus brings you unbelievable entertainment for an unbelievable price. Join the rebellion in the new Star Wars original series Andor.
That's what a reckoning sounds like.
Embark on an intergalactic adventure with Disney and Pixar's Lightyear.
To infinity
and beyond. And enjoy every season of all-time hit series Family Guy.
Wow, that could be really cool.
Disney Plus. All these plus more streaming this summer for just $8.99 a month. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
On this week's Business Matters, I'll be speaking to Business Development Manager with Bibby Financial Services, Carol Monroe. I'll also be talking all things business awards with Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce President, Christine Reynolds. So join me, Ciarán O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters, in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. The part-time Level 8 Honours degree in business is delivered through a mix of online and face-to-face lectures. Email execedbusiness@lyit.ie. That's EXECED business@lyit.ie, or call 9186206.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
For great food in the heart of Letterkenny's Cathedral Quarter, step into Dillon's Hotel. Using only the best local produce, Dillon's serve an extensive menu every day from 12. Perfect for a quick bite, a relaxed lunch or a leisurely dinner. Try the renowned 4-course Sunday lunch with full table service. Or if you work in town, why not pre-order and have your lunch waiting? Great food and service, 7 days a week at Dillon's Hotel Letterkenny, with live music every Friday and Saturday night. Visit dillons-hotel.ie.
It's time to upgrade. Remember, when upgrading, even a few years, you're looking at better fuel efficiency and enhanced safety features. With the largest selection of pre-owned vehicles available in Donegal, at iMotors, we are confident we have your next car. All of our cars come with up to 12-month warranty. Call into us in Letterkenny or Malin, or check out imotors.ie.
It's a 4-hour dancing spectacular this Friday night at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal, with Jimmy Buckley and his award-winning band, launching their brand new single, Fiddle in the Band. Doors open at 9 p.m. Support from Conor O'Donnell with Jimmy Buckley on stage at 11:30 p.m. Dance the night away at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town this Friday night.
08660 25,000 is the text line. Just to remind you, by the way, you just have over half an hour if you want to enter all 5 draws for our big €20,000 giveaway here on Highland Radio. Or you can give us a call 074 91 25,000, 074 91 25,000. Right. Let us see what we're going to do next. We will read some more of your comments. Digs means meals included. It's no wonder there's a shortage. €85 a week is too little and not worth it, including bills, hot water, etc. Now, digs is I think it's used it was being used in a casual sense. I don't think landlords are obliged to provide meals. That's something they can do, I suppose, in agreement with the students or their tenants. What does Rena mean when she says private workers will respond in their own way if they need a pay rise in comparison to the public sector teachers? Do all class of workers mean nothing? It's near about time all public type jobs were abolished, then the country might be able to live. It's scandalous the amount of money the public sector is costing. I was at Marlborough Hill yesterday and the number of cars parked on the double yellow lines was awful. There was a Garda there who was taking note of the problem. God forbid that the emergency services would have been needed. It would have been a tragedy. Well, my feeling is that outside perhaps of your major towns, your Donegal towns, Buncrana's and Letterkenny and, the usuals, double yellow lines are just really, there for the crack. Because they aren't observed or enforced. I think they're just to make the sides of the road look pretty because there's no enforcement and no respect for them. Don't know what they're doing there at all. A waste of paint, I would suggest they are. Right, there's a coffee morning in aid of Amelia's scoliosis story. A coffee morning in aid of Amelia's scoliosis story. It's on Friday, the 12th of August, which is today. It's in St Mary's Hall, Buncrana, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So they're just getting warmed up now. It's raising funds for Buncrana Children's Charity and Our Lady's Children's Hospital in Crumlin. You're invited to come along, have a cuppa with homemade scones and cakes and help raise awareness for scoliosis and help Amelia on her long journey ahead. All donations greatly appreciated. You can follow them on Facebook, Amelia's Scoliosis Story. So if you're anywhere in and around Buncrana, and you know what, a lovely hot scone, cup of tea, cup of coffee, wouldn't it be nice? And also, in doing so, supporting this great cause. Get yourself into St Mary's Hall, Buncrana, before 3 p.m. today, and you'll help raise funds for Buncrana's Children's Charity and Our Lady's Children's Hospital in Crumlin, and you'll be doing a great thing there. Westlife tickets up for grabs here. You have to pay. Fancy going to see Westlife this Saturday night? That's tomorrow. The only catch is it's in Cork. 4 tickets are for sale, €50 each. It's a long shot, but if you happen to want to go... there's 4 tickets there. I don't know who's selling them, but we do know who's selling them, but we can pass on your details. Right, let's take one more quick break here. Don't forget, coming up after... I'll start again. Don't forget, coming up after 11, we have Fanula and Michael in studio. We're going to be looking at the weather forecast with Alan. We're going to find out what's going to happen next week. I keep hearing on the weather forecast that the weather's going to break and there's going to be showers, but where? No one's saying where. How are we going to fare in the northwest? Well, we're going to have a 5-day weather forecast for you specific for the northwest. That's every Friday just before 12 on the 9 till noon show. And also, we're going to be giving you €2,500. One of you, I wish I could give it to all of you, but no, one of you will win that money.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure has everything you need for getting fit in 2022. From training gear to resistance bands, skipping ropes, weights and foam rollers, we have all the essentials to see you through every step of your fitness journey from training to recovery. Shop our range of gym wear, equipment and accessories at michaelmurphysports.ie.
We can all see how conflict affects energy supply and prices. More than ever, we need to be mindful of how we use energy. By reducing your use, you can save money and lessen the impact. Here's how. Only heat your home to the temperature you need. Use appliances efficiently. And where possible, outside the peak hours of 4 to 7 p.m. Consider walking, cycling or public transport for short journeys. Drive at lower speeds where safe to do so. Government advice and supports are available for homes and businesses to help you meet this challenge. Find out more at gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euromillions Jackpot is an estimated €55 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
At Creasley Supermarket, we are renowned for offering quality and value for all your daily convenience needs. We've expanded and are now offering a full on-POS service. Pay a bill, send a package or lodge into a bank account. Our on-POS service is available Monday to Saturday. Creasley Supermarket, we're here for you.
If you're tired and struggling to put a spring in your step, discover the power of Revive Active at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Revive Active is an award-winning super supplement containing 26 active ingredients, including vitamin C, D and zinc, which support your immune system, all in one handy daily sachet. Made for busy, stressful lives, it's the convenient way to put back what life takes out. Enrich your life with Revive Active. In-store or online, click and collect from brennanspharmacy.com. We're here for you.
The race for the Dr. Maguire Cup is about to begin. The Donegal Senior Championship gets up and running this weekend, and you can follow the competition right through to the final here on Highland. Join us on Sunday Sport as we bring you the latest from the opening round games. The championship on Highland is with Highland Motors Letterkenny, main Citroën dealer in Donegal. The new C5 Aircross gives you absolute comfort and style. Now available in diesel, petrol and plug-in hybrid. Test drive yours today.
Okay, you'd think at this stage we don't have to issue such warnings, but invariably... well, we have to, because invariably someone's going to go out and quite innocently, perhaps they're going to light one of those disposable barbecues, or they're going to disregard a lit cigarette or light a campfire, something along those lines. And the conditions are such that the ground is just like a tinderbox. It's ready to go up. Joseph Mctaggart is Chief Fire Officer with Donegal County Council. He joins us now. Joseph, thanks for taking the call.
You're welcome, Greg.
Have we escaped any wildfires or even the beginnings of them in the county so far?
There have been a number of small fires, of course, Greg, over the past number of days. They're not specific to any area, but they have been scattered.
Okay, right. So, I mean, the conditions... Sorry, I think we lost you briefly there. Joseph, the conditions are such, though, now that it's really important to get a message out on behalf of the fire service. And what is that?
Absolutely. I mean, the conditions are right at the moment for wildfires, and the temperatures forecast to be 27, 29 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. There is low humidity, and there's light wind speed. And people are out and they're enjoying the good weather, and they're participating in outdoor activities. And many of those activities are in areas that are susceptible to wildfires. So what we're asking the members of the public who are engaged in outdoor activities is to be aware of the possibility of wildfire starting, to be careful of the sources of ignition, and not to use barbecues or open fires in areas that are susceptible to wildfires. And indeed, in Britain, many stores are not selling disposable barbecues because of the fire risk that they pose. We're asking members of the public not to discard cigarettes or matches, lit ones that is. And if you're using solid fuel as a means of heating, to put hot ashes into a metal bin and make sure they remain covered until such time as they're cold. We're also asking members of the householders and building owners in areas that are susceptible to wildfires to cut areas of vegetation or in the immediate vicinity of their houses or buildings and oil tanks, so that if there is a wildfire, at least there's a degree of protection afforded to the buildings and to the oil tanks. And this is a message that we have been putting out in the public media since probably February of this year, and we'll be continuing to put it out for the next month, to encourage members of the public to do that around their buildings.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sure if you mentioned it. What about, maybe landowners, farmers clearing land, burning shrubs or whatever it might be? Is that permitted at this time, or is it discouraged at this time?
No, you're absolutely right, Greg. I didn't mention it. There is a prohibition on burning of growing vegetation in effect, and that is in effect each year from the 1st of March to the 31st of August. And of course, to carry out designated burnings at this time of year, there's also a permit system in use. But in general, there is a prohibition on burning growing vegetation.
All right, okay.
And obviously that can lead to a destruction of wildlife habitat, specifically during the breeding season.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the big issues with wildfires, Greg, is the resource demand. And that is a high demand on fire brigade resources. And it means that the resources, while they're engaged in firefighting at wildfires, that they're not immediately available to respond to house fires, to other property fires, to road traffic collisions where life may be at risk or where people may have sustained an injury.
And also the authorities do pursue and can pursue people. It is an offence, and people have been, found guilty of that offence. We're asking people to sort of be responsible and to ensure as best as possible this doesn't happen. But also, the guards, for example, and others will chase this up and try and find the source of these fires if that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. That is quite possible. And I mean, it's not that we're trying to put a damper on people's enjoyment of their outdoor activities during this spell of good weather. But what we are doing is that we're asking them to exercise caution and to be careful. And bear in mind, it may be a relation or a friend of yours that's involved in a road traffic collision or whose house is on fire or buildings on fire, who may need the fire brigade, and it may be tied up at fighting a wildfire and it may not be immediately available, or a response may be delayed.
Okay, right. And it only takes a spark, doesn't it? As you've said, and just to reiterate, a fire can very quickly be out of control, really, really quickly. Especially
Absolutely.
With the sea breezes, dependent on where you are.
Of course, and I mean, people may think that fires that you can carry out controlled burning or easy. Fires at this time of year, specifically with the weather conditions we have at the moment, will grow rapidly and spread rapidly, and it will not be easily brought under control.
Okay, thanks for your time this morning, Joseph. I hope you have a quiet weekend.
Could I just say one further thing, please? Yeah. I mean, if people do come across a wildfire, please call the fire brigade. The earlier we get notification, the sooner we can deal with it, and the easier it will be for us to deal with.
Yeah, and even if you're responsible for it, I know maybe people might pack up and get out of there as quickly as possible for fear of being found responsible. But if you do it, maybe you could be the first to see it and make that call as well, even if you scarper afterwards. I'm not endorsing or encouraging anything, Joseph, but, we don't want people fleeing the scene and a half an hour or 3/4 of an hour lost as the fire takes hold.
Absolutely. I mean, if the fire does start, we want the call. We don't really care who we get the call from, but we want to be able to respond to the incident as soon as possible.
Okay, thanks.
And the sooner we can respond, the sooner the easier the fire will be extinguished.
All right, thanks for your time, Joseph. Joseph Mctaggart there, who is Chief Fire Officer with Donegal County Council.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Now, there are calls for water safety training to be made compulsory in every school. Fine Gael Senator Martin Conway says children need to have general knowledge of the dangers of currents and understand water terminology like undertows, high tides and rip tides. How are you getting on, Senator Conway? Good to have you on the programme.
Good morning, Greg. Hope everyone is well in Donegal this fine day.
Yes, indeed. And as you would know, we have a beautiful county. We have the longest coastline in the country, I believe. And so many of us, and almost it's the closer to the coast that you are, can't even swim, have never learned how to swim.
Yeah, there was a kind of a culture in coastal communities. There was a fear of the water. And it was quite remarkable that you had many fishermen who spent their lives on boats out fishing but were never able to swim. There was just some class of a mental block or a phobia or a kind of some sort of a fear of the water. Thankfully, I think that's changing with the newer generations. There's a lot of swimming pools now in communities. I think in the country you're talking about 400 swimming pools in total. Over 100 of those are run by the local authorities. Here in Clare, where I'm from, near Lahinch, we have a swimming pool which there was €6 million worth of government money spent on it recently.
But
And
I wouldn't boast too much about that up in, particularly in North Donegal, Senator, because we're waiting on a swimming pool for Inishowen, a peninsula.
Well, I'd be very much supportive of Inishowen getting a swimming pool, because I believe that the more swimming pools that we have in communities, the better chance people will learn how to swim. And as I was saying to you, in Clare, in this one in Lahinch, over 1,000 young people from September on will be using this swimming pool to learn how to swim, which is important. But it's not just about learning how to swim, it's also learning to gain respect for the water, to understand how the sea works and how rip currents work, what they are, what they mean, how the tidal cycle works. It's also in terms of learning respect for signs about the dangers of swimming, coupled with that then respect for instructions from lifeguards.
Yeah, and also
it's a culture of respect.
Yeah, of course, and when we have serious issues with our inland waterways too, rivers, lakes, maybe flooded quarries. It's interesting you should say, because I agree with you, because if you say to a young person, don't touch that, some of them, the first thing they want to do, it's almost irresistible to touch it. But if you actually educate them as to why you're saying that, I think it resonates more. The same with seatbelts. We've done it successfully, I think, with seatbelts. I think education in schools changed adults' mindsets, for example, as it relates to seatbelt wearing and other issues as well. So I think it's something, it's a no-brainer. It's something we should start doing as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Now, I suppose it is important as well to say, Greg, that there is quite a lot of water safety training that does take place in schools as it is. Part of the pre-curriculum, I believe there's about 5 or 6 strands to it, and obviously there's games and other strands to it, and a strand is water safety and swimming. Now, apparently schools can choose 2 or 3 of those strands. They don't have to provide all of the strands. And that's, I suppose, the point I was making in what I said publicly yesterday, in the sense that I believe that water safety as a module should be an annual module within each school. So even if a young person has had water safety training and swimming lessons, if you like, in primary school, and when they move on to secondary school then and they grow up, if you like, a little, that would continue, that it would continuously be refreshed, because we know that children's attitude to water can vary from teenagers' attitude to water. I think the fact that we live on a coast, that we are a coastal island, that we're an island nation, the fact that we have so many lakes, waterways, which brings massive recreation, enjoyment and pleasure to people, but that they are dangerous. And, while you educate people on how to use these facilities safely, you also teach them respect and teach them that, there are difficulties. People need to learn what to do when they get into trouble themselves. For example, if you get caught in a rip current, you don't swim against it because you'll wear yourself out. You swim parallel to the beach, or you float and call for help. I mean, they're little basic tips that people need.
And I think too, and it's a good time to talk about this at any time. But obviously, you know, the media and maybe the likes of yourselves looking for things that are relevant at any particular time, and we're in the middle of this mini heat wave. We need to start having these conversations too, don't we? In September, in December, in January, in February, so that we're not just doing it every single year. You know, we need to sort of say, right, let's do this. So does this come, is this individuals, you can address that too, Senator, and answer this question. Is this down to individual schools to take the lead? Is it an advisory from the Department of Education? How does something like this come to pass?
I think it needs to happen. I think, Greg, that this needs to be driven at central level. And the funding that's necessary in order to provide it needs to be incorporated into the school budgets as part of the capitation grant. I think that there needs to be a directive at national level that this is something that we are taking seriously, that we want to happen. We believe it's critical given the fact that we are an island nation and we have so many waterways and lakes. And you know that this does need to happen at national level, and that schools then become obliged to find ways to provide the training, but they need the funding to do that as well. And you know, I think that has to happen. Now, you made the point correctly that this discussion needs to happen January, February. Now, I have actually called for this before. I've issued many press releases on this issue over the years, winter and summer. But funnily, it only seems to get attention when the weather is very fine. So I'm taking the opportunity now to reiterate my call that this should happen. I've already.
And indeed, and I did lay much of that responsibility with the media as they scramble for weather-related stories. You know, because maybe we're not going to get a message through to people in their 30s, 40s, or 50s now as much as we try. But if we start with the young people and take it really seriously, we can avoid some of the 110 average deaths due to drowning in this country every year. The majority. I'm sure you know, Senator, but for those who may not know listening, the majority of those are actually in inland waters. You know, so we can't get the older generations to listen, but if we start driving this home with our younger people and the local authorities and others do their bit with signage, maybe we can start making inroads. That's an awful lot of people passing, and yet, but I don't want to compare it to other campaigns, so I'll leave it as is. But we need to start working harder on this.
I fully agree with you, Greg. I think safety in general is something that needs to receive an awful lot more attention in schools than it does. I mean, in rural areas, I think farm safety should be a critical component of the educational system. You know, we see the effort that's put into the junior and leaving certificates, and that's correct, it has to happen. But we need to start thinking of educating and training young people for life as well. I mean, what's most important? The preservation of life. That is what's most important. Yeah. And you know, if you teach people how to farm safely and how to be safe on farms, if you teach people how to be safe when using the water, you made a very, very good analysis earlier on, or analogy rather, when you spoke about seatbelts. There was a culture of not wearing seatbelts in this country 20, 30 years ago. That's changed. Smoking would be another good example. There is education out there now about smoking that didn't exist 30 years ago. And, you know, if we have to start somewhere, and the best place to start is in primary and secondary schools with our young people. Teach them how to swim. Teach them to be confident in the water.
Yeah, that feeds into the last point I was going to make to you, and I think it's a really important one, is that I think sometimes we can be a bit lazy now, and we rely on fear to try. In other words, we scare people into staying away from the water. We scare people almost into not going out into the sun. You know, I think education and equipping people with the knowledge to make those, because people are sensible and they can make sensible decisions, rather than us scrambling when we get one spell of good weather to almost, it feels like we're not going with education, and our fallback is to scare people away from the water. So mum and dads are screaming at the young ones saying, "Get back from the water, get back from the water," when they should have the power and the tools to enjoy the water safely where appropriate.
Absolutely. Fear and shock doesn't achieve anything. It just gets people's back up. Whereas embracing people, explaining, educating, leading by example, They are how you do it. And sure, of course the water's there to be enjoyed. And, this is going to be one of the most powerful and most enjoyable weekends of the year. And I know the beaches in Donegal, similar to the beaches here in Clare, they're fantastic. The waves are fantastic for surfing. There's a huge surfing culture along your coast. There's a big surfing culture along our coast. We love to see young people learning how to surf. We love to see young people out there surfing, enjoying it, competing in the competitions. Some of them even have the opportunity to represent Ireland abroad. And that's the way it should be. And that gives them the confidence around the water to enjoy the water and make the most of the water.
Okay.
But that
just finally,
bring with that as well respect.
Just finally, a caller says Primary Aquatics Water Safety, known as PAWS, is delivered as part of the primary curriculum in schools across the country. This does cover safety in seas, rivers, lakes, farms, quarries, etc. And then they reference swimming lessons being suspended through COVID. I presume you're aware of PAWS. Yep.
Your caller is absolutely correct. There's a fantastic program known as PAWS, but it's not compulsory. It's voluntary. Some schools do it, other schools don't do it. And my point is that it should be done. It should be done by all schools. And I think that is the model to go down. And that is run by Water Safety Ireland, who have the experience, who have the lifeguards, who have the staff, who have the knowledge, who know the waters. And these are the people who have as I say, the competence to actually give the courses. Now, during the pandemic, there were courses. These courses were up online.
Yes.
So what I would say to any parents actually listening to your show this morning, Greg, is that if they go on Water Safety Ireland, if you go on their website, they'll be able to download these courses and they're interactive courses online. And it would be a very good thing for parents to get their children to do ahead of going back to school.
Indeed,
but it shouldn't be at the discretion of people whether they do or they don't, or indeed it shouldn't be at the discretion of schools whether they do or they don't. It should be a requirement. It should be necessary. It should be part of the core curriculum.
Understood.
And this program is an excellent one. And if every student in the country did that program, I think we'd be in a far better place.
All right. Well, you're a Fine Gael senator. Your party's in government. If you can't make inroads on this, there's no hope for the rest of us. Thanks for your time this morning.
Well, we'll do our best anyway, Greg, in regards to everyone in Donegal.
Take care, and same to Clare. Fine Gael Senator Martin Conroy there. A caller says, I'm retired, but all during my 40 years teaching in primary school, every year before the summer holidays, we spent a lot of time on water safety. Actually, the department sent out posters and literature, worksheets, etc. Children were keen to learn about all safety issues. And that ties into our caller that points out that the PAWS programme is there, but the question... I think what we're looking for is this to be compulsory part of the curriculum rather than a decision that can be taken school by school.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
The big bucks are back. 4 Fridays.
4 winners.
Plus 1 lucky jackpot.
Oh, that didn't work. €2,500 every Friday.
And on the 4th Friday,
Someone also wins
10,000 cash money.
Go to highlandradio.com and get your €10 ticket. It's a whole new meaning to cash flow. Highland Radio.
That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing. Summer's just got better.
For a Portaloo for any event, contact the exclusive stockists in Donegal. Gortley Sales and Hire. Long-term and short-term quotes available for parties, festivals, weddings or any event across the county. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126 276.
Shane Connolly Car Sales has relocated to Drumlonagher, Donegal town. Besides offering quality used cars, we have a brand new state-of-the-art workshop for all your car service needs. At Shane Connolly Car Sales, we deliver straight to your door and offer excellent finance packages. Check out our social platforms or visit ShaneConnollyCarsales.com.
This is a notice for all tractor and agri-plant owners. Minimise your downtime when you need tyres and call Donegal Tyres Donegal Town. We can go to you and fit your tyres on site or repair your existing tyres if you have a puncture. Don't waste time and leave the hassle to us. So call Donegal Tyres now on 074 9721 482 to organise your call out. I've great news for everyone who's looking for a good night's sleep. Restex Beds are looking forward to welcoming you to their brand new showroom at Mountaintop Letterkenny. It's one of the biggest and best bed and mattress showrooms in the Northwest and has fantastic opening offers now in store. Restex is the most trusted name in beds and mattresses in the Northwest. Why don't you call in and get the bed of your dreams at Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny.
New acres payment rates revealed. For more in your Farmer's Journal is Paul Mooney.
Farmers will be paid to plant trees, hedgerows and leave land idle. We have all the payment details. We have essential heatwave advice for keeping you and your animals safe. Find out which counties will likely see stocking rate cuts. Plus save tax by paying your children for farm work.
And to pick up an entry form inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal for your chance to win €10,000 with Zurich Farm Insurance. In shops now.
Make the most of the great weather with Homeland Summer Garden Clearance. There's the Brazier Table Fire Pit, only €149, save €50. Outback Sizzler 4-burner gas barbecue, half price, only €199. Cool Flame Solar Garden Torches, only $6.99 each. Shop the full range of offers in-store and online at homeland.ie while stocks last.
Does your home need a fresh coat for a fresh start? Foy & Company in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny stock all the leading paint brands and wallpapers, all available for nationwide delivery. Let the Foy & Company team help you create the perfect colour scheme for your home and lifestyle, guiding you through the process of selecting the right paint for your indoor or outdoor space. Book your free online or in-store colour consultation today at foys.ie. Foy & Company in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny.
Leisureland Redcastle, open every day from 12 to 6. Fantastic for family day trips. Excellent value for birthday party packages. For a wonderful family experience this weekend, check out leisurelandredcastle.ie.
Getting value on your shopping has never been more important. That's why at Super Value we have great offers like Super Value Fresh Irish Strip Loin Steak save 33%, Fairy Non-Bio Powder 75 wash only €10, and get new weekly money off vouchers on the Rewards app. For low prices that compete with anyone, it's got to be Super Value.
Exam results arriving? Your future starts at Northwest Regional College. Visit our results days to confirm your place or apply for a course at our Derry, Strabane or Limavady campuses. Call 048 7127 6000 or visit nwrc.ac.uk/results. This is Northwest Regional College. This is your future.
Okay, coming up in the next hour, we're going to have a 5-day weather forecast for you if you really want to know what the weather's going to be doing after Sunday. And also, one of you is going to win €2,500 in cash. But at 11:01, let's see what's happening in the world of news and say good morning now to Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The ATU Student Union has submitted a request for a capital grant scheme to buy student property to combat the accommodation crisis. A large number of students have been unable to secure permanent accommodation for the college year ahead, and it is feared that many students may be forced to drop out or defer. ATU Student Union President Edward Grant says the potential of buying new property would alleviate the problem long term. However, temporary measures are also desperately needed. There are calls for water safety training to be made compulsory in every school. Fine Gael Senator Martin Conway says children need to have general knowledge of the dangers of currents and understand water terminology like high tides and riptides. Speaking on today's 9 till noon show, he says water safety should be a crucial component of the education system. Police are appealing for information and witnesses following a report of theft and assault at a shop in the Church Meadow area of Derry last night. 4 males arrived at the shop, caused a disturbance and stole a number of items. While leaving the shop, one of the males was confronted by a staff member and he punched her on the side of the face. The full report on this is available on our website at highlandradio.com. The rising cost of living could lead to more workers returning to the office this winter to avoid high energy costs. Latest CSO figures show energy and utility bills increased by 48% in the past year. Overall, consumer prices rose by 9.1% for the second month in a row, remaining at a 38-year high. Donegal town-based US medtech giant Abbott Laboratories has announced additional jobs for Donegal. Abbott will invest in new equipment for its Donegal Diabetes Care site and is to construct a new greenfield manufacturing facility in Kilkenny, representing a combined investment of €440 million and creating 1,000 jobs between the two sites. And finally, the National Parents Council for Primary School Children say this autumn is shaping up to be the most expensive ever for the families of those returning to the classrooms. It's calling on the government to scrap the practice of voluntary contributions which parents pay to run their prospective local schools. The fees per household can range from €200 to €400 per school year. That's all for now. We'll be back with a news update again at 12 o'clock. But until then, good morning.
Okay, Emma, thank you very much indeed. Michael and Fanula will be joining us very shortly. We'll take a break first, though. It's only a quick one. Stay right where you are.
If that sounds good, so will this. Save up to €300 off your car insurance cover when you buy online at libertyinsurance.ie. That's based on a 25% discount for new policies. Up to €300 off your car insurance. That's money for living. That's liberty. Future-proof. Subject to a minimum premium and applied before optional covers. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Liberty Seguros Compañía de Seguros y Reaseguros S.A., trading as Liberty Insurance, is authorised by the General Directorate of Insurance and Pensions Funds in Spain and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. It's the last show hour of the week, and it's the hour where we kind of disengage from all the serious stuff of the week and give away money, Michael.
Yes.
€2,500. The trombola, Fanula's trombola's right behind you.
Yes.
I call it a draw drum, but it's not.
No.
Here comes Fanula now. It's a
No.
trombola, yeah, okay. And the reason why I've mentioned it is because in about 25 minutes, one of our wonderful listeners is going to be winning €2,500 in cash. And I'll just give you a quick run through of what's going on here, because if you bought your ticket before 11 o'clock today, you're in all 5 draws. We've $2,500 today. There's $2,500 next Friday on Around the Northwest. Further $2,500 on Jive Time on the 26th, and on the 2nd of September, Lee Gooch will give you €2,500 on the Naughty Alarm Clock, and later that morning we have another €10,000 to give away. So best of luck to all of you who've entered. It's not too late to enter, but today's draw, those who have entered are in it now, but you can still buy your tickets for next week. Okay, so that's the... Now also, by the way, if you want to watch the draw, you can go on to our website, highlandradio.com. You can watch all of the show every day here, including Michael and Fanula. Are you just chatting amongst yourselves?
Yeah.
Like I am literally presenting a radio programme. And
I
your
know,
mics are
but
open.
we're professionals. We know how to keep our voices
I like
low.
it. Listen, I like that casual attitude with it all. I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah, or our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, or our Facebook pages. Okay, so how are both of you keeping this fine Friday, enjoying the weather?
Yes, great. Feeling great. Loving
Really
the sun.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's very hot today, and it didn't even feel like it was going to be. I thought
But you are literally running around the building all morning. Like, if you didn't think it was hot, you'd have like no blood
that
in
is
your
true.
veins.
But I did think, I mean, I thought today was going to be a bit milder, but it's absolutely beautiful.
No,
now,
today
you know
and
me.
tomorrow's going to be...
love the heat.
Olivia Newton-John passed away during the week. We heard tributes to her from Donna and others as well. I think the thing that came through it is she had a tough life, but she was very down to earth, and success didn't change her. And she's just one of those people that you kind of think are going to be around forever, because still so youthful and vibrant and full of energy and
Couldn't
life.
believe she was 74.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the main thing. I kind of was, even though, like, I was only 6 or 7 when Grease came out the first time, but it always holds a special place in my heart anyways, because it was the first film that I ever saw in the cinema. My dad brought us to see it when we were just home from America, and we were living in Galway, and Dad brought us all to see it. And then, it always had like a special place for us kids in the house. You know, it was one of those ones that you always put on.
It's the go-to.
And and when my sister was older then, and she was doing her nursing, they used to sit around watching movies. So my daughter then was only about 3 or 4, and She would go around singing, "Look at me, I'm Sandra D. Won't go to bed till I'm legally wed. I'm Sandra D." Which is not a bad attitude to take at that.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. In fairness,
Did you watch it again recently? Or?
I did watch it again recently, just for the whole nostalgia of it, and I have to say, it holds up because it was always a little bit daft. If you know what I mean, as in the whole thing of it was kind of daft.
But it was of an era, and
it totally is, and you have
were
to,
kind of a bit, by modern standards, strange, a bit misogynistic, wasn't it?
Well, like the girls were supposed to be, you know, nice and quiet, and they were supposed to get married, and like the only chance they had of leaving high school was to go to beauty school. But it made for an awesome song, so there you go.
Good times.
I think you need to watch it. Yeah, exactly. No, but I think it needs to be watched in the context of what it is. Like if you're going to start Me Tooing it, you know, if people start Me Tooing it and that kind of thing, you're going to find a lot of issues with it.
And I think we shouldn't.
But I think it needs to be taken as being, this is what it was. You know what I mean? It was a film about the, like, kind of, you know, rough and tumble guys and this
Did
kind
you
of
have
thing.
a leather jacket, Michael? And, you know, swank around the place? You've
You've
never seen the film, have you?
I've never seen the film, no.
Dear sweet
never
mother
seen
of
the
I
film.
haven't either, by the way, just for a bit of solidarity.
Yeah, I've no interest
You've
in it.
never seen...
No, I've seen bits of it. I saw, and you know, maybe the singy bits, but I've never sat down and. But I am not. I'm open to it. I watched this year for the first time. I watched Dirty Dancing. So.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I
Or
saw
maybe that was last year. So.
I like that. But then we were brought from school to see that.
This is much... You were brought from school to
See Dirty Dancing,
I do
yeah.
not
He was a
understand.
teacher now.
I'm
only joking.
I don't understand. Dirty Dancing,
Grease
like
doesn't
everybody
have-
talks about it like as if it's a really nice, wholesome movie.
Yeah, but
and it's actually not.
It's not, but you know what I'm on. There's like
the story,
There's
with
a
the
lot of
music and
films
everything.
from
Yeah.
an era like
It was a TV series.
that you'd expect people to have seen.
Yeah.
So
Oh God, 100%. Yeah, no, everybody should watch Grease. I just think there's a
Except
lovely
me.
feeling to it, and I know what you're saying is it's of its time. Like it was done in the 70s, and technically it was kind of set more in the 60s, kind of a bebop kind of an era. You know, it was all sort of the puffball skirts and the girls wearing the little ankle socks and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It was that kind of a feeling.
But
to
you
it.
know what the funny thing is I think with films then it was honest, right? I don't think films made now, mainstream films, would actually truly reflect culture and attitudes and
Yeah.
stuff. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would be a representation of what we all should think.
Yeah.
You know, what's
Yes,
dictated
that's
for us
exactly
to
what we're
believe.
at now.
But we
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So we don't. So and this is why young people aren't watching soap operas or you know. It's not really reflective of real life. It's reflective of what adults think they can write, and it not to be offensive
Yes,
and not to get
aspirational as
cancelled.
opposed to realistic.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
that's the thing. You're absolutely right.
So-
We're in that at the moment. Yeah,
100%.
big time.
You know,
yeah.
we don't. It's everything is perfectly representative. Everyone's got. Now, obviously, there are independent films and others that are made that maybe pull off the sticky plaster a bit.
Yeah.
But the truth be told, everything
Very
is all.
liberal.
The mainstream
Yeah.
is.
We talked
yeah.
about Oval for a few times, or the Oval or whatever it is. Like,
Yeah.
I mean. It's so right on, and it's fine. Do you know the way they sort of
It's
would
not even
bring
that, it's
modern
more-
issues into
Yeah.
sort of this 400
But
years in advance?
even things
but-
that are set in 2022 or thereabouts, there's an idealized representation that it just
that's-
is not
life isn't
accurate.
like that.
No,
at all,
it's not.
You know, and that's why
No,
younger
no,
people feel it's
100%.
not relevant to them. They're listening
Well, yeah,
to
I don't
music
think
that there's
we're going to
effort
find it
and
very
binding
hard
in
to
them.
look back on these few decades, particularly the last decade. In 50 years' time, people will not look back and say, "Oh, that's an accurate representation of what was going on," unless you're watching a documentary.
But I think there's a bit of a pushback on it now.
I
to be
think
honest with you.
there will be, because everything is cyclical. Things change. I think part of what happened in the realm of fiction is a lot to do with the real world. And in the last decade, having things like Trump and having things like the side of America that came out made a lot of people in the pop culture arena uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and
but
as a
Trump gave a voice to a lot of people
he
that
did.
believe what he believes.
But
Now,
as a
not all
reaction-
the extremities of it.
Yeah, but as a reaction, then fiction, as regards movies and mainstream TV, has course corrected for what's actually happening in the real world. It's no longer authentic. You know?
Yeah. Anyway, Greece. It's available somewhere. I'm sure it'll be shown.
it's bound to
all
be
over
shown.
yeah,
the
no,
place.
you can get it through. You can get it through Apple TV, and it'll bring it through to the stream, and you can rent it that way.
Excellent.
And
I will
it's
not
on
put that on the
Sky
list.
as well, and Sky
Did
Cinema.
we talk
and that
about
kind-
Blackbird last week? Did we? Did I mention Blackbird?
You've been mentioning it.
Did I mention it on the program?
Not on the program.
Yeah.
Right, Blackbird on Apple TV. Have
Yeah.
either of you seen it?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I saw.
It is,
yeah,
It's based on a true story, isn't it? Because it's
It
on
is.
the list of things.
It
That
is.
and
It really is. If you've got a list, right, and you've got access to Apple TV, and let's be honest, right, other people have access to programs not through Apple TV, right?
Yeah.
You know, put it up the list because it really is. It's really, really good. It's a very good show, and we talk about a lot of programs. And do you know how a lot of them are kind of good, and then we look for the ones that
are great?
I think it's a great show. Blackbird, 2 separate words. I don't know any of the actors. I just know it's about. This is no spoilers. It's a fella who has it all. Former football player. He's deals in drugs. Seemingly, he's put into prison. He's approached by the FBI to say, "Will you befriend a serial killer or someone who we believe to be a serial killer? Because we want to find out where he's disposed of."
That's a good hook.
Right? Okay.
For a story, that's a good hook.
He decides whether or not he'll take that, and it's a maximum security prison and all that. It's 6 odd episodes, I think 7 maybe, I don't know, an hour long, and it's I tore through it.
It's got the Greg seal of approval.
No, it's really good.
Okay. No, I have heard really good things about it. A couple of people said to me that I should watch it.
Yeah, the way I tried to describe it is season 1 of True Detective mixed with Mindhunter, and you like those 2 programs and mix them together, you come up with this.
I've heard good things about it as well from Greg about 30 seconds ago.
Okay.
He was saying it was really good.
Let me reiterate.
It was like True Detective, he said.
If you've watched it, 08660 25,000, tell me what you think.
On Apple. Severance is on Apple as well, which is what I want to watch. I haven't seen it. Ben Stiller did it, and it's got 14 Emmy nominations.
Yeah.
Right across the board, so it must be amazing.
How do you turn the fan
And I'm
down?
now terrified of Patricia Arquette. She's the scariest villain I think I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years.
Right. Disney Plus has overtaken Netflix in terms of subscribers. I find that unbelievable. It's astonishing. Disney Plus seems relatively...
Really.
It's a big brand name, yeah.
I thought Netflix had it all their own way for so long, and now they're
for a long
second.
time,
they're still losing billions. They're not going to make money, they don't think, till 2024, but I'm not sure Netflix has turned a profit.
Here's
yet.
a sidebar, it'll only take a second, but it's not known over here, but another streaming platform called Spectrum has gone to the wall in America now.
Right,
It wouldn't be known over here, but it had shows, like it had Jessica Alba's Cop Show and a few other shows around the last few years. They pulled the plug yesterday. So streaming platforms are falling.
There's a consolidation going on, isn't there? And we're probably gonna know what the future will hold once the dust settles.
Exactly.
I think Disney Plus also showed live cricket and had a huge market in India, but they lost those rights, so they think they're gonna lose some of their.
They lost those rights. Okay.
Yeah, they lost those rights. Okay. I've been pontificating and praising Blackbird, but I'm still well behind you in terms of the your opinion of Better Call Saul. I mean, this is just the best program you've ever watched in the world ever.
We're heading into the last episode. There's not much to say in terms of anything that would give away spoilers, but I can honestly say the last few weeks have been genuinely incredible in terms of only in terms of the drama, the pathos, the emotion they've brought to the screen, but the fact that they have now dovetailed perfectly into Breaking Bad. And it's not something we've ever seen on TV before. Something done so powerfully.
Yeah.
And they've also changed the tone, the style, the content of Better Call Saul dramatically in these final episodes.
You mean it's more like Breaking Bad?
No.
All right. Okay.
Actually, it's become its own thing. Because again, no spoilers here, but again, they've now gone beyond the timeline of Breaking Bad.
I think people will have to grind out the first few series of Better Call Saul to get to the excellent program that you're talking of.
Possibly, yeah, but yeah. I mean, I was hooked from the start. I know some people thought it was slow at the start, but I was hooked. One episode left, very, very, very late on Monday night. The last episode will drop internationally.
So don't ring you Tuesday morning.
Exactly. But it really is incredible drama. And again, I can honestly say there's nothing like it on TV, and there hasn't been anything like this done on television.
Is that the general view of it?
Yeah.
It is. It's not like it's not just something that's like, just ticked all your boxes.
98% from critics, 95% from the audience. That's incredibly high. If you go to IMDb, all these the last 6 or 7 episodes are now in the top 6 or 7 episodes of the show. Everybody is giving them like 9.9, 10 out of 10. I'm not even surprised. I mean, it's so powerful. And anytime it comes up in conversation, you meet people for lunch or whatever, everybody that is watching it is absolutely raving about it.
All right, listeners, watch 13 Lives on Prime Video. I think Prime Video, we criticised them in the past, I think, for the makeup of their landing screen. They have rejigged it. Mm-hmm. It tells the story of the rescue of the children's football team from a flooded cave in Thailand, which is not that long ago. Mm-hmm. Colin Farrell stars it, and they say it's a very good watch, so that is definitely list-worthy. Right, both of you have CSI Vegas on. Is this a
brand new series?
Yeah, it's a brand new series.
Yeah, no, it's a
one?
brand new series, and what they did was they're just trying to reinvigorate. Like the CSI kind of went a bit cracked, it went a bit Law and Ordery in the sense that it went there was one in Florida, there was one in Miami, there was one, you know what I mean. Every time you turned around, they were sticking another one in another town. You were like, all right, and it was the exact same thing.
We were waiting for CSI Carndonna, but
yeah, exactly. But it was the exact same program. You know what I mean? It just happened then whether or not the characters kind of appealed in that. I really enjoyed the first one, which was the original, which was CSI Investigation, which was the Vegas one. This is it started back up again. It has brought up. He loves it because it's got his two favorite characters in it from the original.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
a little bit iffier about it, but it has.
We
brought
had a big
back
discussion about this last week, didn't
the
we?
two main characters in it that were in it by the time it
And who
finished
are
up.
they by
Gil
name?
Grissom is the main
Alright,
detective,
okay.
and Sarah,
And Sarah
his
Seidel.
one true love.
Right, so those are the only
No
two. Are
chemistry
they the only
whatsoever.
two
They
returning
do.
characters? I don't think she can emit chemistry.
Yeah,
I don't. I don't think she has the range.
He
No,
adores
no.
the ground she walks on, which is bizarre. But
Makes perfect sense to me.
It just is an insight into your life that's frightening. They
Get on the couch.
It all started when I was 3.
No, I don't. To be honest, it is good. There's a show. What they've done is that they came back, and if anybody watched it in the original series, there was a police officer that was always kind of with them all the way through it as well. His life is under threat, and so next minute the two show up, Gil and Sarah, in order to figure out what's going on. And it turns out there's a bigger mystery going on, and in between this. What they've done differently in this is now there's one overarching
Okay.
For 10 episodes.
criminal that's going on, and then obviously then they have their day-to-day crazy things
So
that
each
happen.
episode is a self-contained story, as well as advancing the arc.
Yeah, so there's always like that crazy story, like where like
I know.
this
what you
week's
mean.
one was like
frozen.
an airplane landed
Yeah.
completely sealed, and
Oh,
yet
I
nothing
love that
inside
one.
but
Is
three.
that where they are this week?
But three,
Yeah. That was
three
a
dead bodies.
I kind of tuned in one time, and there was it turned out that a frozen block of pea had fallen from a plane.
Well, that's an old episode, isn't it?
Well, that's the last one I watched.
Okay,
but that's
That was
because
just-
it's like that. What usually is that was back in the day when it used to be like somebody actually did die from that.
Yes.
And it became a thing, but that's what it is. Like they just have these kind of like bizarre stories. You know what I mean? These sort of bizarre stories.
In
They've moved
CSI
down the
Carndonna,
thing.
it was a tin of peas. It was just someone threw a tin of peas. It was much more low tech.
But it's not a bad watch. It's not a bad watch for it. They're not coming back. I mean, it has been taken
You
up
don't
for a
love
second
it.
series.
You don't love it.
I do.
Yeah, he
Well, I'm gonna
really
come
liked
to you.
it. I don't
do.
find Gil Grissom and Sarah Seidel have any chemistry
Is that
whatsoever.
the problem with it then?
I don't find them believable as a couple. I find there's no chemistry whatsoever.
And are they
between them.
working? Are they out of retirement? Like, have they got some sort of a
She's
house
come
in
back-
Florida? And
she's come back from retirement to deal with this particular case where a friend of theirs is being put on trial. He's sort of helping out, but very much in a. They're not in every scene, and they're not even. You know,
No, they
they're
brought
not-
them back in order to establish these
Yes.
new characters.
Yeah.
Now, whether you like the new characters or not is a whole is a whole.
Some
other
of them
story.
are
bridging
some of
kind
them
of a
are-
scene.
I'm not. Yeah, that's it's trying to reestablish it as a thing. You know what I mean? Because the other ones faded away. It's very much. You know, if you ever watched it in the past, you know it always ends on well, like the ice thing. You know what I mean? Well, they're definitely going to be frozen out of here, or there's
Yeah, I know what
some
you
line,
mean,
and
yeah.
you're like, oh dear God, why?
The other show, Miami, was terrible for that. I never got into
Terrible
the
for
CSI.
it.
Never got into the
And
CSI.
I loved that guy.
but
that
he
in it,
was
the ginger
he
guy.
was a
David
really
Crusoe.
strong actor.
I know. I don't know how he ended up in that because he was in like. Do you ever see the movie Jade?
But that was a big
But
flop.
he was very good.
That was
I
a
think he
huge
carried
flop
that.
for him.
I
like.
know, and I
They
really liked
put an end
it.
to his
So-
career.
And he died really well in it.
Listeners might be interested, and it is a stretch. You don't really need to have seen the previous CSI. It's not that
No,
type
it's
of
not that
Vegas.
kind
It's
of
not
show,
that type
no.
of show.
No,
Not
no,
really,
it's
no.
not at all. No, it's one of those just kind of like procedural kind of American.
okay.
They meet people along the way. The
Where
bad
did they
guy
come
never
up with the
turns out to be
stories?
the first.
Well, I found
from the
for
papers.
I found, but I found with this series, and I've seen the whole all 10 of them. The second half of the season was much stronger because the crimes got more fantastic. Like the plane that landed with everybody on board dead. I thought that was a great hook for an episode. There's a murder outside a ranch where all of the people in the ranch are teenagers.
Who landed the plane? Out of interest,
Oh, Autopilot. Autopilot just brought it in.
Autopilot lands planes.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
But in the other one, they had a ranch where everybody in the ranch were teenagers who had been convicted of murder. And then there was a murder outside the ranch, so they were looking at a room full of murderers as suspects.
Next week.
Yeah, I love that. And
there's
a character in that episode that I wish they would just bring back next season, because I thought there's a character there I would love to see. So it's a fun show.
So, I mean, you're 6, you're 7, is that
8?
That where 8?
I like it a lot. It was funny.
Oh God, yeah, no, I'd only be like about a 5.5, 6.
And it
if you
ends
like that kind of a thing.
It ends very well too. The ending is good.
I put these things down on that list, and it's up to you to pick which you like. It's way down
the
list.
It is what you're watching.
It is on my list. I am.
It ends
and
very
you're
well
going to stick it out though.
That's my problem. I have like an issue in life in which when I start these things, I have to get at least to the end of the first series.
But he's raving about the second half of it.
I will see now, because I must be hitting near the second half of it now, because I will see how it goes. It's just I really enjoyed the first one initially. So
okay, right. In about 7 odd minutes, we're going to do it at 11:30, aren't we, Fionnuala?
Oh, it's going to end up being a few minutes later.
Right. Okay.
It
might be, between now and 20 to 12 or 12 or something, we are going to, because we have to. I mean, obviously we have to check things and make sure everyone's numbers in and all that kind of stuff. But before 12, anyway, we can guarantee you one of you is going to win €2,500 if you entered our competition. Thanks to Fionnuala mentioning Virgin River a few times. Curiosity got the better of me, and I watched 4 seasons in 1 week. Now I'm invested in Mel and Jack, Doc and Hope, etc. Can't wait to see when season 5 comes out. So
I'm embarrassed.
We do have an input.
I know, but I feel bad now, because actually I haven't gone back to season 4.
Oh, no.
So I feel bad that I've left this lady now.
Do you know how they say honesty is the best policy? Sometimes.
No, it's only just after coming anyway. Season 4 is not there that long, but it's one of those, if you ever watch Cheap Six Shores, any of those kind of shows, it's just a kind of a nice
wholesome.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of kind of ups and downs in it. Like there's a meth lab going on in the forest. Basically, what it is that this woman has lost her husband, and she's a nurse, and then she moves out to kind of like the Rondex. Is that what they call it in America? When you're kind of when you're up in the mountains and that kind of a thing. And so she's kind of up in the mountains in sort of like a strange town, but it's everybody in it is perfectly normal. Just they've kind of got ups and downs in their lives. Yeah. And then it's just about her and her relationships and that kind of thing.
Okay, well, you've put one listener in the right direction.
They
have loved it.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Want unbeatable value from Sky? Here's the deal. Get Sky Broadband for just €29 a month, plus Sky Q for only €10 a month. Super fast, super reliable broadband. And Sky Q with your apps and recordings. That's Sky Broadband for €29 a month, plus Sky Q for €10 a month for 12 months. Now that is unbeatable value. Go to sky.ie. Availability subject to location. Offer does not include Sky TV subscription. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more info, see sky.ie/speeds.
Is your current car ready for change? If so, now is a good time to visit DMG Motors Donegal Town. Choose from their Skoda range including the Fabia, Scala, Superb, Karoq, Kodiaq, Kamiq, Octavia and the all-new electric Enyaq. Now available for delivery. All fitted with the latest technology. Skoda Connect with a whole new range of simply clever features. DMG Motors have made buying a new car affordable with finance available on all new vehicles. Test drive the new Skoda today. Call 97213996. Skoda. Made for Donegal.
Don't forget to get your car serviced in iMotors Letterkenny or Malin. Servicing keeps your car efficient and safe. We service Kias, Nissans and all other brands. Call today or book online at imotors.ie.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Finally, a real summer where we have choices again. Get-togethers, garden barbecues, match trips, beach days. Choose Centra for fresh bakery and salads, a delicious barbecue range, exclusive award-winning wines, and chilled beers from around the globe. Celebrate summer. Choose Centra. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
The big bucks are back.
4 Fridays.
4 winners.
Plus 1 lucky jackpot.
Oh, that ain't working.
€2,500 every Friday.
And on the 4th Friday,
Someone also wins
10,000 cash money.
Go to highlandradio.com and get your €10 ticket. It's a whole new meaning to cash flow. Highland Radio.
That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing.
Summer's just got better.
Get a great Clarence gift this week from McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Buy 2 Clarence skincare products, one to be moisturiser or serum, and you'll get a choice of 3 treat-sized essentials from a selection of 8. But which 3 will you choose? This great Clarence offer is available while stocks last. In-store at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less. For any skincare advice, call in and talk to the resident skincare consultants, Mary or Gemma.
New acres payment rates revealed. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Farmers will be paid to plant trees, hedgerows and leave land idle. We have all the payment details. We have essential heatwave advice for keeping you and your animals safe. Find out which counties will likely see stocking rate cuts. Plus save tax by paying your children for farm work.
And to pick up an entry form inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal for your chance to win €10,000 with Zurich Farm Insurance. In shops now.
For big name menswear at great prices, visit Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Top casual brands including Mishmash, Sixth Sense, Tommy Bow and Penguin. If you're going to a wedding or a big event, formal wear names include Rimassimo, Andre and White Label. Also a great selection of children's casual and formal wear in stock. Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and online at watsonmenswear.com.
It's a 4-hour dancing spectacular this Friday night at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal, with Jimmy Buckley and his award-winning band, launching their brand new single, Fiddle in the Band. Doors open at 9 p.m. Support from Conor O'Donnell with Jimmy Buckley on stage at 11:30 p.m. Dance the night away at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town this Friday night.
Okay, we are back. Do we need a medic, Fanula? She's been rotating her trombola, which is a hefty piece. You could have made it out of lighter material, perhaps.
Well, it's just.
So, are you ready for us to do this now? Because, by the way, if you want to watch the draw take place, get onto our website right now, highlandradio.com. You'll see the link to watch in browser. I'm going to get a tab. Or you can go onto YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland.
You can't get the tab because it's only.
No, we're not doing this on there.
Timing. It's a whole timing thing. He's working on it. He's working on your time.
We're not doing this on air.
I don't think I'm ignoring your want for a
But
tab.
you know what? At least we're real here because the listeners.
I know this is our genuine argument on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. And
we should get the opinion of. This is the whole other genuine argument. If anybody wants to give an opinion. If anybody sees behind Greg, when you see the camera facing Greg, there's a big Highland Radio sign.
I want a TV here.
Yeah. He wants a 60-inch TV, and we're currently in an argument. Okay. Let's see what the listeners think. Does Greg need a 60-inch?
Just think of all the stuff we could put up here. It'd look really... I think it would look fancy. If you think we should get a TV up here, if you're listening, just imagine, for those who are watching, it'd just be a nice modern TV. I'm going down the InfoWars route, you know.
That's actually putting me more in the direction of it now, which is I don't like that guy. It's funny.
Support me on 086 60 25,000. Yeah.
Join the Highland Radio management team and make that decision. Do we need a TV?
Right, okay. So, do you want to do the first draw?
Of course, yeah.
So, go on to Highland Radio Ireland and our Facebook pages, and we will do it. Right, okay. Do you want to
go now?
Up, please, yeah,
stand
up.
Of course.
Stand to the right of it. Both of you are standing up. This is amazing.
Well,
right?
You know, I'm a.
I've got a drum roll running here.
This is the right of it.
Okay, right. Yes. Yeah. Now, do you want to just
swap spots? So okay. Yeah, we need to swap over now, and then you can open that up and go ahead. So let's go again.
Right, let's go.
All
so
set?
We are digging in. Yes, Michael is opening the latch. He has lifted the drawer. He's looking at me the whole time, and he is digging in, and he's rotating his hand around, and he's about to pull out a number. When you bought your ticket, you would have been issued with a number, and that is what, and your name's on it as well. That's how we cross-reference it. So take it out, and show it to this camera here. The number is, no, over this way and down. The number is 0873. So if your ticket number 0873, we're going to be reaching out to you very, very shortly, and you could be a winner. Okay, you can take your seats. Now, we'll actually show that. Do we keep that out for the time being,
Well,
Fionnuala, or put it back in now?
We'll keep it out for the minute
Okay.
until we get the...
Right, but what we'll do is you'll see before we conclude that
we'll put it back in
0873 will go back in, because, and we had a wee joke with Sean about it last week. At the end of the day, it is possible that ticket goes back in and they could win another $2,500, or in fact they could win the 10,000 as well. Right, okay, so that's exciting. Well done to all of you who took part in that. 0873 is the winning number.
Yeah,
and
Katie is busy away with the system. They're pulling out the name, hopefully that person will be on the other end of the line. But it's not a necessity. But exactly, it's always good to talk to somebody.
I always have a little. This is not a criticism of anyone else, and we might end up doing it. I don't know, but where they say you have to answer your phone within 5 rings. Do you know what always worries me is people on a motorway or turning a junction, or some people listening in the cars. And you dig it in
your bag or doing anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that this, maybe I'm just being a two-bit, be afraid of everything. I don't mean like that. But I'd just be wondering, do people go, we have to answer that phone call? And it's not just the person receiving the phone call, anyone who happens to get a phone call at that time.
Yeah, they might have been in the draw. I know, they're in the brief. If they happen to be a listener or a participant in the draw or whatever it is.
And you're switching lanes on a motorway, or you're coming into, you're sitting at the lights in Letterkenny and the
you're pushing the baby in the pram and you go, oh!
But anyway, I know it's so you can demonstrate that you're, and they have big money behind them to do it. It demonstrates that you're listening at that time. But I just think they're having to ring it in 5 rings. I just wonder if it's terribly safe, but anyway. Right, okay. Do I get a TV behind me? 086 60 25,000. Do you want a counter argument? I feel like this is just too one-sided. No,
it's fine.
Right, so we'll keep chatting until such time as we find out who won. Just to let you know, by the way, before 12 also, we're going to be letting you know what the weather is going to be like for next week after the weather breaks on Sunday, to see what it's going to be like here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. Right, let's go to the cinema now. Lots of people I know going for lovely cinema nights. It's great to see it back again, isn't it? That people still see the value in getting themselves together, going for something to eat, or wait until they get in and watching a big film on a big screen, and the popcorn and the Maltesers and the Coke and the Pepsi. And it's great to see people still doing it.
I love a good cinema
night. It's a social thing, I
really enjoy it. And I have to say, the last time I went to the cinema was in the last few weeks. I went to the cinema in Galway with a crowd of my nephews and nieces, and it made me realise and appreciate how lucky we are up here to have the cinema, one, so close to you, as we do with both the 2 cinemas from the 2 areas, and 2, the value for money that you get in comparison was just ludicrous.
So the winning ticket, by the way, for those of you just tuning in or watching on a delay or whatever it might be, is 0873, and we are making contact with that person. It's up to them if they want to come on and welcome it on air. If they don't have to at all, but we love to speak to winners. Right, I was talking about the cinema. You were at the cinema, or something coming up in the cinema. Where is it? Railway Children Return.
Oh yeah, this is the sequel to the 1970 movie. Jenny Agutter returned. So 52 years on, they brought her back to play the same character she played in that classic that I watched about a month ago. Popped along to the cinema. It's still on in the cinema after like a month, but it's only on now at like 11:45 in the day, or 2:30 it was on this week. Definitely enjoyed this movie.
Can I hold you for a second?
Yep.
Brian McFeely, how are you?
I'm grand, thank you.
You're not just grand, you're $2,500. You've won an extra €2,500. Congratulations.
Oh my God, that's good news.
You are a winner.
I've won a long time.
Say that again?
I'm saying it's the first money I've won in a long time.
It's a nice little lift, isn't it, coming into... Right, Brian, you were ticket number 0873. You have won €2,500. Brian McFeely from Rafo. Congratulations, Brian. Any idea what you might do with the money?
Well, I'm half thinking about changing my car, so it might go towards that.
Fantastic.
I'm half thinking about it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll go and spend it on me and my other half and my son.
Oh, lovely. Where are you going to go?
Oh, I'm not going anywhere too far anyway. We'll ever go to Sligo. Sligo, I think, the farthest I went this year, this last few years.
Well, do you know what? You don't need to go very far for a change of scenery. Lovely people down in Sligo, and you'll come back with plenty of change out of your money too. Still enough to get to change that car. It is lovely in Donegal, of course. Listen, Brian, you have won €2,500. Do you want? I know you don't have your headphones on, Fanula, but it's great to get to chat to Brian.
Fantastic. No, delighted for him. That's absolutely fantastic, and it's
that's good.
Yeah, no, I hope you spend, and always remember, for me, this is the kind of money that you need to spend foolishly. Never save it. You should always do something kind of crazy with at least some of it.
He's taking his other half maybe to Sligo. You're going to have to do that now, Brian, because you've said it on the radio, so you can't backtrack on that one. So that was your first mistake.
Do something now.
Yeah, you're going to have to do something. And also to, hopefully it goes towards, I know you're only half thinking, but when a man half thinks, really, it means we've made up our mind. So if you don't change your car before Christmas, I think you're just waiting for that final bit of planning permission from the other half, Brian. I think that's really all you're holding off on. But look at, you've won €2,500. I'm delighted for you, Brian.
It's good altogether.
Now,
thanks very much.
You are still in the draw, so we're going to open up the draw drum now, the trombola, sorry, and we're going to put your ticket number 0873 back in. And look at Brian, depending on how lucky you are, you could win $2,500 next week. You could win the 10 grand in a month. Who's to say? You have as much chance as anyone in there now.
Yeah.
Have a lovely Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and enjoy your money, Brian.
All right, take care.
We'll be in touch with you. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much. All right. Brian sorry, I don't want to get his name wrong. Brian McFeely and Raffo, $2,500.
Fantastic.
And thanks for being a good sport, Brian, and coming on. By the way, it's really is appreciated. Right.
No, it is. It's great to talk to somebody when they do win something. But obviously, I know some people don't like it. But if they do, we'd love to have them on.
And as you say, spend it foolishly.
Oh my God, 100%. That's. Oh my God, this is definitely money that needs to be spent foolishly, and we're already thinking what I'd do with it. And it's great that he's only the first of 5 winners that we're going to have in the coming weeks. So there's great excitement here now. Although I don't know who's doing the draw with you next. Who's doing the draw next week? I'll have to see. We'll have to get a celebrity in or something. JB has it, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. It's not my problem actually. So you can do whatever you like. Only messing. You can get. Who could you get to do it? Don't know.
I don't know. Maybe you'll go on to JB's show and do it. We'll see what happens.
19th of August, around the Northwest, €2,500 going to be given away. 26th of August, the Jive Time show, €2,500 going to be given away. 2nd of September, the Naughty Alarm Clock, €2,500 going to be given away. And then later that morning, another €10,000 in cash. Now, you have an opportunity now to enter if you so wish. Go on our website, highlandradio.com. You still have 4 chances, and in terms of scale, we all know there's massive competitions out there. This is for us here in Donegal in the Northwest. There's not going to be as many entries as some of these other massive competitions, even for equal type prizes. So you really have a good chance. Highlandradio.com, get your tickets there, or you can give us a call in 07491 25,000. And I just love when I can be involved in changing someone's, just the fact that they're going down to Sligo and thinking of changing the car. And if you're half thinking about it, an extra $2 grand, 2.5 grand.
Push in there. Plus, it's going to push you towards that one that you're kind of thinking, oh, I'd love that one, but maybe I shouldn't spend that much on it. At least now you got a little bit of a top up. Love it.
Right, okay. Give us a rundown of, and by the way, stay tuned for the weather forecast coming up shortly. Give us a rundown then of this film.
Yeah, so this is a sequel to the 1970 film, and as I say, Jenny Gallagher comes back. This one takes place during World War II, so you're moving on a few decades from the first one. She's now a grown-up lady with her own daughter, who's a teacher, and her own granddaughter, and they take in 3 children from the city who are being evacuated because of the war. And very similar to the first film, these children just have some adventures round the town. But unlike the first film, which was quite low stakes, this one actually is quite a high stakes story, and it's quite a political story because they're dealing with racism, because they have American military men in Yorkshire at this time, and some of those young fellas are black and they are being treated very badly because of their colour, and that becomes the main thrust of the story as the eldest child of the three, she becomes friends with this guy and they end up helping this guy who has run away. He's AWOL because of the way he's been treated. And there's more to the story than that. But it's much more political and much probably darker than the first film. Now, it's very similar to the first film. It's filmed in the exact same location. They went right back to the same train station. They did everything the same. I really enjoyed the first film about a month ago when I rewatched it, and I really enjoyed this as well. It's wholesome family entertainment. Well worth seeing now. As I say, it's only on the days at the moment, but it is a good wholesome film, and it'll be streaming as well. If you don't fancy going along to the cinema next week at whatever 11:30, maybe you do. There was actually I was in at 2:30 on Wednesday, and there was about 8 people in there, all adults, all. Well, me
Mitching and from work,
and the others were adults as well. Yeah,
maybe it's a different product, and that's the right time to go if you want a different cinema
experience. Yeah, but I would give it a thumbs up. Yeah, particularly if you like the first one. I'll give it a good solid 8.
Same as thumbs up and thumbs down. It's not really. We expect more from you.
Yeah, same as the first one. I gave that an 8 as well. And I keep harping on about this, but I just think it's cool that Ginny Oggeter is back. I mean, we've seen her in the first one. And it's pretty cool. 52 years later, she's back playing the same character. And if you're interested, you get to hear a little bit about Roberta's life. A few little... And the other two... Because the original movie was about 3 kids as well. So we hear a little bit about what happened. And it's a bit darker. This is a bit darker, but it's still a wholesome family film.
All right, because the setup didn't sound like that. But, I mean, obviously then as you go through it a bit more deeper, we get that. Okay, let's take a quick break and... there's a one on your list, Fionnuala, I'm very keen to hear about. That's coming up after this, including Alan with the weather.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Finn Harps are in Dublin this Friday evening for a crunch bottom of the table clash with UCD. Join Oisín Langan and Declan Boyle for the full match commentary at the Belfield Bowl from 7:45 kickoff. Finn Harps live in Highland in association with BNS Credit Union Ballabouffay, where the Renovate and Green loans can help you turn your dreams to reality. Don't delay, get your loan today. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. BNS Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
SMEs all over Ireland. You're just fab. That's not it. You're the bee's knees. I've got it. You're the business. Because many of you are now using digital to take your business to the next level. Whether you'd like to get online, grow online, or go global, check out, wait for it, You're the Business, the new digital training program for Irish SMEs. Visit g.co/You're the Business. Brought to you by Google in partnership with Enterprise Ireland and your local enterprise office. Nailed it.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euromillions Jackpot is an estimated €55 million.
Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie.
The National Lottery. It could be you.
Visit Knock Shrine from the 14th to the 22nd of August. Hear from guest speakers at 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. daily, with something for everyone to feel enriched and inspired.
Don't miss our family day on Sunday the 21st of August from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m, bringing you a wonderful range of fun activities for all ages, face painting, kite making and much more, all on the beautiful grounds of Knock Shrine. Find out more at knockshrine.ie.
Knock Shrine. Culture, faith and prayer since 1879.
It's time for a new Nissan 222. We have an award-winning range, so call into iMotors Nissan in Letterkenny or Malin, with the new Nissan Qashqai and Nissan Micra available for immediate delivery.
Want to gain employment in one of the fastest growing sectors in Donegal? The Higher Diploma in Finance and Technology, FinTech, at Atlantic Technological University Donegal is funded through Springboard and now taking applications. The closing date is September the 1st. Visit lyit.ie/Springboard. The future is here. Springboard Plus is co-funded by the Government of Ireland and the European Union.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. Let's find out what the weather has in store for us. And delighted to welcome back onto the programme Alan O'Reilly of Carlow Weather. Alan, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
All good news. You're able to tell people most of this week. But everyone, as soon as it's good weather, everyone's like, oh, it's too hot. And when's it going to break? And, you know, we just love talking about the weather and we're very hard to please, I think. But tell us what we can expect here in the northwest, at least for the weekend.
Well, a very hot day today, getting up to 27, maybe even 28 degrees. A little bit cooler, obviously, near the coast.
Any early fog has burnt off now. There's lots of clear blue skies and sunshine. Tomorrow is even going to be a little bit hotter. I was actually looking at the latest weather models, and it shows up to 30 degrees is possible there between Castlefin and Raphoe. There's a station there. It'll be interesting to see how hot it gets. But even Letterkenny up to 28, 29 degrees. So a really hot day tomorrow. Again, any early fog will burn off. Lots of sunshine. There is a chance of a little bit of a very sporadic shower tomorrow evening, late tomorrow evening, but generally a very good day. Sunday then we'll see a good hot day again, but cloud will start to increase, but still very warm, and it'll become more humid, so it'll feel heavier and kind of muggy. Now there's a risk of thunderstorms on Sunday evening, Sunday night and into Monday morning. They'll be very hit and miss, but I noticed the UK Met Office have issued a weather warning for Northern Ireland. So they'll be localised, but there will be some thundery downpours. And then as we head into next week, well, if you're sick of the hot weather, you don't have to wait too long. It's back to normal from Monday with temperatures dropping right back.
So what is when we say normal, is that sort of late teens or lower?
Yeah, well, it'll be generally probably high teens, maybe touching 20 degrees. A little bit cooler, obviously, in the northwest near the coast. You could be back down to 15 or 16 degrees. But yeah, back to kind of more normal. But rainfall looks generally low next week. There will be showers, but no big amounts of rainfall. So I suppose we might have been spoiled for the last few days thinking we get used to this, but normal service will resume.
Now, at the end of July, you forewarned that, things were certainly moving in a certain direction. Obviously, it was so far out, you couldn't say with any certainty, but you did predict that we were going to get a decent spell of weather, that the things were pointing in that direction. I mean, obviously, you're constantly having to say, well, this is a forecast, and I get that. Any indications of what might be happening now as we head towards the end of August even?
Yeah, a little bit of uncertainty around that. There is low pressure coming kind of close by, which is going to give us this bit of a break. But it does look like high pressure is going to try and build from the south again towards kind of the last week of the month. Now, obviously, that far out, it is hard to kind of forecast, but there is a chance that we could see some more settled weather. And back to school weather, often see a warm spell at the start of September.
So we could get rid of the children and have nice weather all at the same time, maybe.
You never know, Greg.
All right, listen, brilliant stuff. Thank you as always. Great to have you on the show. And you can check out Alan O'Reilly on Carlo Weather across social media. So it's not looking too bad even next week. All right, okay. Frank of Ireland, the best thing ever to come from Ireland, hilariously original. I believe it will be as big as Father Ted, a 33-year-old man living with his Irish mammy, unable to afford accommodation in Dublin. Can't wait to see more of this. It's made by Liam Neeson and Sons.
Yeah, it's an old one. As in, it's pre-COVID.
Frank of Ireland, I heard about that.
Yeah, we did talk about it at the time when it came out. It's on Channel 4. It was on the TV. I haven't seen whether or not there's a second or third series on it, but you can definitely watch it on the player. And that's basically what it is. It's one of those kind of very much in the vein of, those two Cork guys that had a TV program, and very much in the kind of Irish vein, in which you see a couple of things. There was also then
maybe I'm thinking of the Unbelievables. It wasn't that.
No. It's two young guys. Was it not on their names? Yeah. I can't think of their names either.
Wasn't their names? It was Young Offenders.
That's it. Yeah. It's very much in that kind of Young Offenders kind of thing. And then we've had a few of them that came through, but it is done by Channel 4. As Nancy said, the Gleasons are in it and that. The lesser known of the Gleasons, with some of the more known ones showing up.
I get you.
But all the Gleasons are so talented, it's amazing, in fairness. You never...
All right, Kevin's contribution this week. G'day, Greg and gang. There's been no shortage of shows down under recently. With Life is Murder on Alibi with Lucy Lawless, Xena and her co-star will soon be appearing. RFDS and RTE with newsreaders Rob Collins too. Xena was...
Xena Warrior. Yes, she's got a new
show. A lot of
show.
young ones would have been at the time.
Yeah.
And it was
massive. I loved it. That's what she brought me to the show that she's in now, My Life is Murder. And basically she's a early retired police officer. Her husband was a police officer as well. He was killed. We never really find out so far anyways the full story of what happened there with him. But so now she kind of just solves crimes on the side. It's based on that.
As you do.
And we kind of interrupted Kevin's segue. From one Sunday place to another, The Sandman was quite good, moody, at Moody at times 2.
I don't know what's going on with it.
Sandman's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, yeah.
Do you want to give that a full review or just a couple of words because it's on your list?
Yeah, we can both go into it. I will say it's based on a highly acclaimed comic book series from the 1990s, which I read. It's a fantasy-driven series. The first episode, because it's very hard to describe this really, so I think it's probably just describe the first episode. It's 1916. We meet two men in a big country house. Charles Dance is one of the guys, Bill Patterson is the other. From their conversation, we learn that they both lost sons in the Great War. One of them, however, is an expert on the occult, and he's hit upon a plan to capture the Angel of Death and to bargain with the Angel of Death and bring back their sons. So they perform the ritual in this cellar of this house, and a being materializes, a tall, pale man with spiky white hair. It turns out it's not the Angel of Death, but it is the sibling of the Angel of Death called Dream.
I'm not saying by what you said. I've just figured out how to wear the use.
You're doing the ear con. You're playing with the ear con. I thought I've made an impact on Greg here. I said that thing about
I know I'm never going to watch this, so I just thought,
no, it's not your thing. Yeah.
I'm just going to let you go.
I knew because I was talking about Dream and the Endless, and you were looking at the control, the remote control for the air.
It's to be honest.
But it's a very. I watched the first episode last night. Yeah, it's. I'll before I hand over to Fanula here, who'll give her version. I enjoyed it. I remember. I loved the comic book. I think the series, which is done by the same writer and David Goyer, who did the Dark Knight trilogy and the Blade films, is that guy. They've been trying to develop this as a TV series or movie since 1991, but they wanted to be faithful to the comics. And it looks like they've done. It looks like they've done that, and I'll give it a thumbs up, 7 or 8 out of 10 from me for the first episode. Fanula,
I am
confused.
A normal person. I watched more than one show before I would review it. I'm 5 in, so I'm halfway through it. There's 10 episodes in it. I'm halfway through it. I went to this because it's done by not so much the comic thing, because it's a DC comic, so I'm not really into their stuff. But I went to it because it's Neil Gaiman, and Neil Gaiman, as anybody would know, is an English writer, and he does a lot of kind of fantasy and but also not too crazy fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, I really liked Game of Thrones, but I find it very hard to watch some of the other stuff that comes up. And I was very interested as well why Netflix took this and not Sky, because Sky have done loads of Neil Gaiman stuff, and for some reason Netflix is the one that picked this up, and the cast is unbelievable.
In a good way?
Unbelievable. Every week there's every episode there's a new different people in it. There's Gwendolyn Christie is in it, who is in Game of Thrones. Gemma Coleman is in it.
From Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. There's loads of different people in it. Every time you turn around, there's a different person that you recognise.
Top tier talent. They're queuing up to be in a Neil Gaiman thing.
Really strong English talent is in this across the way. Because I'd always just assumed it was an American thing until I started looking into it.
You're 5 in.
I'm 5 in, and I'm not 100% sure what's going on.
Right, okay.
Have we heard this before?
Have we heard this before?
So I'm like, I mean, at the moment, after the 5th one, I'm kind of like...
Are you on your phone while you're watching it?
Oh, no, I had to actually put the phone down for
that's what I was thinking, because sometimes if there's a little bit of complexity, I can't do both.
Yeah,
some stuff I can. But
the phone had to go down at this point.
You like to keep tabs on the news cycle, though. I mean, you like to know.
Yeah, but you're
working
to it.
It's nice to watch a show that
right.
actually holds your attention. This does, because I'm not 100% sure what's going on. Now, the acting in it is phenomenal, and there's some phenomenal people in it. But my negative about it is that they're not giving me enough depth.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I read the comic books beforehand, would I care a bit more? Like, in one part of it, they kind of come in and he needs to rebuild his powers, and so he has to take back this gift that he's given to somebody, and they're all the characters in the thing are really upset about this gift being taken back. And you're like, I don't care, because I've just met this gift 30 seconds ago.
Get you. Right, okay.
And you know the way.
So yours is a what out of 10? Don't understand it out of 10?
Yeah, no, but I am not. I wouldn't say that I'm not enjoying it, so I would definitely be giving it a good 7.5, 8. Like.
Okay, that's where we have to leave it. Thank you so much. I didn't get to your one I flagged before the break, which is the Keeper of Ashes, or Keeper of the Ashes. I'm really intrigued about that, but we can't talk about it now. You're not here next week.
No.
So I'll watch it and then see. Should I watch it, yes or no?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh, no, that's a no. Okay, thanks for that. Listen, we look forward to you getting back so we can do this again with you. Michael, you are back, of course, next Friday because you're very reliable. Thank you so very much indeed. That's where we have to leave it on this week's edition of last edition of the 9 till Noon show. Looking forward to chatting to you on Monday at 9 already. Have a great day. Stay tuned. John Breslin's on his way around the Northwest after the news at 12.
The 9 till Noon show with